There we go. Good evening, lamb chops. It is I, your favorite fluffy vampire Bluma. Dude, are you excited? We're gonna finish Higurashi today. Watanagashi, anyway. We'll finish the second book in Higurashi. There are so many more after this. We'll definitely get to them one day, eventually. Definitely. Yeah, I guess we can just get into it. I know it's a little weird. I don't normally stream on Tuesdays. But I'm going to be busy on Mondays for the next couple of months, so every now and then I'll try and throw in streams where I can then, until I can get back to regular scheduled shenanigans. But yeah, we're just going to get into it. The final chapter. Let's go. Keiichi. Keiichi. Just leave him alone. His friends went missing. Must be really hard for him. Oh yeah, because like the last chapter ended with we went and looked for Rika and Satoko and they were both gone. We called Shion because we learned Shion had actually been missing too. And so when we like confronted the person on the phone, they just kind of laughed evilly. So we don't know if that's like Shion or Mion. Copium time? Yeah, most definitely. Oh, hi, Risu. Yeah, most definitely going to be some copium here. Definitely. It's the final chapter after all. And, I mean, if we can follow the pattern from the first book, we are definitely going to die. We will probably die somehow. Normally my dad never shows me any consideration, but this time he did. Shouldn't Keiichi stay home from school for a while, too? I think it would be safer to not go until the police do something about this. Feels cope, man. Oh, man. Maybe. Compared to what could happen, taking a few days off wouldn't be a bad idea. Anyway, how is it logical not to close school during such a dangerous situation? What do those teachers think the children are? Mom and Dad are getting pretty riled up, but at this point I couldn't care less. Besides, that wasn't the only thing I couldn't care less about. The breakfast table, the food in front of me, the time, the date, myself, I really had no interest in anything. We're going to die somehow. I don't know how, but somehow. Truth. Facts. Seer knows all. This feeling, it was like a dead fog in my mind. It felt like getting dizzy after taking strong medication. Keiichi, how are your studies going? You've gotten further than the other kids, haven't you? If you have, then take a few days off, alright? I didn't even feel like answering. Today was Thursday. Liar, it's Tuesday. Only 4 days had passed since the Watanagashi festival. Such a short time, and yet now things were completely different. Everything had changed. The tranquil village, bright and clear as if it were an Indian summer, had undergone a total reversal. People were made to disappear every night, and we couldn't even relax walking out of the broad daylight. The village had become a world of fear. I had no right to curse this outcome. After all, the one responsible for everything was me. I don't know, man. I feel like you're kind of blaming yourself. That night, I couldn't resist my honest, tiny little, and incredibly stupid curiosity and broke that taboo. So Mion and Shion are the same person, but different? They're definitely two different people. The big mystery is that we don't know which one was which one at what time. Like, how do you explain it? Like, when we were at Angel Mort, right, in the Maid, like, Mion and Shion are two different people, but it's like we have no clear way of knowing if, was that Mion we talked to that day, or was it Shion we talked to that day? When we call Shion on the phone, are we talking to Shion, or are we talking to Mion? Like, that's what's super unclear, and that's kind of like the driving mystery in this book, is just, we just don't know when it was Mion or when it was Shion that we were doing shit with. I mean, also that we went into the ritual storehouse and saw all that shit, and now people are missing. And now 2 people are dead, and 2 people are missing. 3 people are missing. 5 people are missing. Wait. Okay, no. Takano and Tomotaki are dead. Rika, Satoko, Shion, question mark, is missing. The mayor is missing. Okay, 4 people. 4 people are missing. This isn't somewhere you should be going, is it? Let's not. It's a crime to force your way into a locked building, even if you didn't steal anything. Shion, now that you know what we're having some secret rendezvous, you've had enough, right? I don't want to do something like this. What if Rika-chan's dance ends while we're messing around here? I prattled on as I took the lock from Tomotake's hands and put it back on the door. I'll forget everything I saw here, so come on. I feel like sometimes Mion was dressed as Shion. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what was happening. There are some times where it's like they even confirmed that like Mion dressed up as Shion to talk to Keiichi. They have said there's been times where the Shi has done that. It's just unclear exactly how many. Let's just go. Oh, okay, we're daydreaming. How do we stop this? I got you. Takama-san was fretting, but I pushed her away. Tomotake-san grinned plaintively. Shion's shoulders dropped as if to call me an idiot. Even so, I didn't care. I pushed everyone further and further away. Rika-chan's dance was still going on. Then, at last, her dance was brought to a close with a roaring applause. I, too, until my hands turned red. I clapped. And I clapped. Isn't that Reina-chan? She's here because your usual meetup time, isn't she? I looked up at the clock. It was 5 minutes past my time to meet up with Reina. Keiichi, shouldn't you take a few days off from school? You're right. And thanks for being so considerate. I rose from my seat, and I went to the entrance to greet Reina. Good morning. We're going to school as a group starting today, so you can't be late. That's right. If we, the ones furthest away, were to be late, the younger kids on the way would be waiting for us. I think I'm gonna take some time off from school. Okay. Reina answered shortly, nodding. I think you should do whatever is best for you, Keiichi-kun. So, you don't need to feel like you're weak or anything. Oh, and, here. It's a notice they're sending around. Could you give it to your mom? I think it has a lot of important announcements in it. I took the notice. There were a lot more pages than normal. The one on top announced the disappearance of the mayor, Rika-chan, and Satoko, and that they wanted any information about them. It made my heart ache. The police are looking the best they can, too. They'll find them for sure. Just be patient. Okay? Reina said, smiling in an attempt to give me courage. Rather than that, though, her smile looked like it was because she herself wanted to believe they were safe. Reina, you're not gonna question me? No. Reina, you know, don't you? About that night? What I... Do you mean when you snuck into the ritual storehouse? I was speechless for a moment, but then I bit my lip, made up my mind, and nodded a little. So it's all in the open. Really, I shouldn't do bad things like that. Mi-chan was really mad. So she was upset. I suppose she would have been. I don't think she was angry about you sneaking in there, though. As much as you were about hiding it from her. Maybe, Ike-chan. Maybe you should have told her yourself. Apologized. I should have told her myself and apologized. That troubled me. Just 1 week ago, I did something that I myself should have apologized to Mion for. I'd hurt her badly. However, I hadn't realized that at all. Oh yeah, we still are on that bullshit about him giving the doll to Reina and not Mion. Right. And then, plus with all the confusion that Shion's appearance had brought, I still hadn't been able to talk to Mion about it. Reina, you're right. I never realized anything until you tell me. Keiichi-kun, hypothetically, if you had admitted you'd done something wrong right away and apologized to Mi-chan, I wonder if Rika-chan and Satoko-chan wouldn't have had to disappear. Oh no, they went to another anime. I couldn't answer right away. I couldn't admit to it. Wasn't Rana telling me right now, though, that I should have admitted to the crime sooner? If I had done that and apologized, would things have not gone such a horrible direction? Rana's eyes were filled with kindness, but they weren't naive enough to forgive me for keeping silent, and they stared fixedly on the Rayonne. Yeah, you're right. If I had admitted my crime sooner, then Rika-chan and Satoko, they wouldn't have had to die or disappear. The palm of Reina's hand slapped me on the cheek. I stood there unmoving, my head still tilted in the direction I'd been hit. It didn't hurt at all. I don't think anyone has scolded you, Keiichi-kun. So I'll scold you in their place, okay? I pressed my hand to my cheek, now warm with embarrassment, and quietly stared down at Reina's feet. Going somewhere you're not allowed to go was a very bad thing to do. Do you understand that? Uh-huh. Answer me with a yes, Keiichi-kun. Yes. Also, what's worse, you didn't admit to having done something so bad. You should never do anything bad in the first place, but not admitting to it or apologizing it is much, much worse. Yes, I was wrong. For a few minutes, Reina stared at me, silently and intently, as if gauging my remorse. Then finally the tension in her face softened, and she smiled. Okay then, it's about time. I should get going. All right. Be sure to give the notice to your mom, okay? Also warn her not to go out past it on after it gets dark. I bent down to pick up the notice, which I dropped when she slapped me. The pages had come out of the clasp and were making a mess on the floor. I gathered them up one by one. My hand stopped on a single, more light-hearted page with a peaceful sentence dancing on it. We still have plenty of homemade soy sauce in stock. Feel free to come to the Sonozaki house if you want some. Guys, I think I know where their bodies are. What is this? Yeah. I picked up the page and scanned the rest of it. They were stockpiling high-quality soy sauce they got from faraway relatives in the Akita prefecture. They had gotten a big shipment recently. Oh no, right? Yeah, Risu's catching on! Remember, because we learned that Rika-chan went out to go get soy sauce from a friend, and then Satoko went and joined her because they trusted that person enough when they said, hey, we have dinner ready for you. Ah! Yeah. They couldn't use it all, so they wanted anyone who come to feel free to come over. It's what it said. And a P.S. it said it arrived in barrels and had to please bring a 2-liter bottle to fill it. Yep, and their 2-liter bottle was... Bruh. And that's how it tied together. If you need some soy sauce, then you'd go to the Sonozaki house. Reina. Did you know all along? Yeah. I knew. Reina had already been suspicious of Mion, as soon as she noticed the big bottle of soy sauce was missing. Rika-chan had taken the bottle and gone to Mion's house, and there, she was erased. She knew, right? God damn it, Reina! Damn it! Rika-chan wasn't coming back, so Satoko called Mion's house since she knew she had gone, and then Satoko got called there as well. That meeting, on the day the mayor disappeared, didn't Oshi-san say that the 3 families participated in it? The 3 families would include the Sonozaki family. Didn't he also say the current leader was really old, so her heir Mion frequently stood in for her at public appearances? While the mayor was returning from the shrine, Mion called out and stopped him. She talked to him, invited him to their house, and then she made him disappear. It was probably even simpler to make Shion disappear. Shion was part of the Sonozaki family. They probably knew exactly what she was doing at all times. I'm sure even they knew her part-time job schedule too. Thinking back, wasn't Angel Mart's store managed by the Sonozaki family? Setting up an ambush for her there wouldn't have been any trouble at all. I'm going to Mion. I'll go apologize. I'm going to. Have her put an end to everything. Mion probably won't forgive me so easily, but I'll go and ask her not to sacrifice anyone else. With that decided, there's no need for me to be lazing around here. I put on my shoes and slipped past Reina to the exit of the house. When she stopped me. I'm going too. Reina, shouldn't you go to school? This is way more important than school. Reina, you shouldn't come. If you get wrapped up in this too, then I think I might actually go crazy. Reina didn't move her arm, which was blocking my way. If Keiichi-kun disappears as well, then I think I might actually go crazy too. So, I won't let you go alone. Reina argued boldly, as tears welled up in her eyes. I saw them, and I knew the strength of her resolve. Alright, let's go. Thank you, Reina. Reina nodded slightly but firmly, and finally let down the arm blocking me. Let's go. To Mion's house. I'll apologize for the crimes I've committed. Then we'll put an end to these twisted days. After that, I'll pray that once more we can return to those fun, lively days. With Reina following me, I left the house. In front of the house, there was a car waiting. It was Oshi-san. Hey, good morning, Maibara-san. To you too, Ryugu-san. Together so early in the morning? You make me jealous. What a truly praiseworthy man he was. If he had been lying in wait early in the morning just to pressure me into talking, on this morning, though, maybe it was actually a good opportunity. You're from the police. Oh, haven't I introduced myself to you, Ryugu-san? Excuse my rudeness. You hope Mion's alive? Fucking... That's bold, Risu. You think Shion's the one doing all this shit? Nice. I like the theory. I like it. Pleased to meet you. Are we telling Oshi-san? Yeah. I think my palm is enough punishment for your crime, Keiichi. But... Oh, shit, that's her. Yeah, I think my palm is enough punishment for your crime, Keiichi-kun, but... we should leave Michan to these people. To be honest, I like Mion. Oh... Yeah, I know, I like Mion too. I like Mion. I'm so excited. Okay. Pain and sadness. I looked down, as those emotions built up in my heart. We have something to tell you, Oshi-san. Well now, what about? Should we stand here and talk, or inside the car? Yandere vibes? Who? Mion? Yandere? Shit. In the car, please. I only continued to look down weakly. All I could do was be thankful for how dependable Reina was. At Reina's urging, I revealed everything to Oshi-san, the latter while making sure to throw in murmurs that he was paying attention every now and then to take notes. We continued that way for a while. How do you feel? Do you feel a lot better now that you've told me? Oshi-san asked while scratching his head with his ballpoint pen. Of course I don't feel better. The price that had been paid up until now for me owning up to my crimes had been so immense. Don't you think Mion has... No, she has more... what is it? The kudere? The one where she, like, acts like a big boss lady, but is actually super sweet and soft. That's more Mion to me. Shion, on the other hand, I could see as being yandere coded. But we'll get more into that, I feel like, as we read more of these books. As long as the payment wasn't returned, the load on my chest could never be removed. His radio started to emit static. Ooh. It's Kumatani. Oshi-san, over. Yes, hello? This is Oshi. We got news a few minutes ago that she's been absent from school. No movement at the Sonozaki house. Our target is still on the premises. Yes, good. Keep a close watch. Roger. Cars 3 and 7 have arrived for support. We've returned to base. Also, I think the division chief is looking for you, Oshi-san. He keeps annoying me too, even though I keep telling him I'm trying to get in touch with you. What should I do? If you're hard-pressed for an answer, tell him you're actually under orders not to wake me from my morning nap. Got it. The radio grew silent. Sorry about that. It was about work. He just said there was no movement at the Sonozaki house, didn't he? Oh my, did it sound like that to you? This won't do. Please, keep that a secret, alright? I don't have permission from the division chief to be making private inquiries like this. Oshi-san has suspected Mion for a long time. Nor for questioning witnesses or for searching houses. We really don't have permission for anything, really. The Sonozaki house's defenses said to protect the family members are also fully working condition. Without a warrant, we can't do anything about anything, unless a crime happens right in front of us. Oshi-san, could you be... Reina's tone of voice alone was enough to make her spite clear as she stared at Oshi-san. You can't set foot in the Sonozaki house. Were you trying to get... Oh shit, that's Reina talking. You can't set foot in the Sonozaki house. Were you trying to get Keiichi-kun to go in there instead? Reina, that's... Wait, what do you mean? This person, just as I thought, he plays really dirty. Stop, you're hurting my reputation. That said, I'm all ears to hear your explanation, okay? Oshi-san lit a cigarette and responded to Reina, wearing an expression implying that he was calm and willing to let her comment slide. We can't get a warrant. Oh wait, shit. You can't get a warrant, but you've always had your eyes on Mi-chan because you thought she was suspicious. Yup. You plotted to incite Keiichi-kun and have him go in the Sonozaki house. Hey, with it. Oh, hi. Then, if something were to happen to him, you would have used that as an excuse to go in. Isn't that right? I understood about half of what Reina was saying. I knew, however, that Oshi-san had been trying to use me. Even if Keiichi-kun got hurt as a result, have you no shame? Is this how the police do things? My. It seems we have an incredible detective on our hands. Oh, my. Would you be interested in taking an exam? I'll gladly write a recommendation letter for you to get into the detective division. You're despicable. Reina spoke quietly, her words dripping with hostility. I've been insulted in all kinds of ways in my life, but 1 or 2 words from a young girl is always the roughest for me. Even so, I suppose I should thank you for not arresting Mi-chan yet. Don't mention it. Oshi-san seemed to be enjoying the exchange with Reina. The things this man thought were like a swamp, I could really see past the surface. It reminded me again of how much I disliked him. Now then, as 2 esteemed friends of Mion Sonozaki-san, what do you plan on doing now? Will you wait kindly for me to go over the evidence and request a warrant? No. We won't wait for that. We'll go and make Mi-chan surrender herself. That's right. If she turned herself in rather than being arrested, she might get a lighter sentence. At this point, perhaps, that was the only pity I could find to afford her. I see. Wonder if that will go well. If you're careless, you too may face danger, you know. Hi, Jose. Oh, hi. Oshi-san was measuring our resolve. So in a strong voice, I declared, We're fully prepared. Oshi-san gave us an unpleasant, yet seemingly satisfied grin. It was then that I realized this man was trying to use us for his own convenience. If anything would happen to us, use this as an excuse. Though my greatest hope is that you will surround the place and the criminal can't get away. Hi. Yeah, Ryugu-san, you're good at negotiating too. I'm throwing in the towel. I surrender. What are you talking about? If the police surround Mi-chan's house, then that will be insurance for the worst case scenario. for the worst case. Plus, it would be another way of pressuring Mion to give herself up, wouldn't it? Ah, Oshi-san to Kuma-chan. Oshi-san to Kuma-chan. This is Kumatani? Go ahead. Our two friends are going to play at the Sonosaki house. Make arrangements so they can reinforce them if needed. Their altogether too short conversation implied that our questioning had already been part of the plan. Then let's get going. Want to buy some tea biscuits on the way there? Neither Reina nor I went along with Oshi-san's stupid joke. Oh man. Oshi stopped the car in the place where we always waited for Mion. Come to think of it, I've never been to Mion's house before. I've only heard that they're right down the road. This is as far as I can take you. According to our information, there are quite a few security cameras set up on the premises. Still, don't worry. I've got a bunch of youngsters waiting to slip past him to go in. We'll be monitoring the inside on a one-way mic, so if you two get a loud scream, we'll know right away. We'll persuade her for sure, so please be ready for her to turn herself in. In both her eyes was determination. It was the only method available for us for lightening the sins of our friend. Be plenty careful, you hear? You probably don't believe me right now, but I don't want you two being sacrificed if at all possible. You're right about that. With that rude response, we left the car. The clinging humidity and the voices of the cicadas greeted us. I'd never have expected this would be happening today. Let's go. Keiichi-kun. Reina took the lead and began to walk. Down the road I've never been. Reina, you've been to Mion's house before, right? Yeah, a few times. It's a really big house. You could fit a mountain into the backyard, too. You can pick mushrooms and stuff, though there were fences everywhere. Shit. Big enough to fit a mountain. That's amazing. One of the three families controlling Hinamizawa, and the head family of the Sonozaki clan. Perhaps there was something to be said about its magnitude. The path continued onward, level and uneventful. There were metal fences along the edges, and beyond them were woods with trees growing thickly. The fences were high, the tops of them bent backwards, sticking out like sharp spears. Plus, there was dangerous-looking barbed wire wrapping them. No one could look at them and not feel intimidated. In addition, there were signboards hung up here and there along the fence. Private property of the Sonozaki family. Entrance forbidden. Beware the venomous snakes. Active security cameras. Intruders will be charged an entry fee of 1 million yen. This forest, or should I say mountain? Is it all their yard? It's more like their domain. As you can see, it's private property, but nobody maintains it. Remember how I said I spoiled myself on Higurashi? So far, all the things are pointing that the spoiler's true. Damn, Wii Fit. God damn. You went and spoiled it yourself. Well, hopefully, still, I mean, at least you can still enjoy the ride, right? And who knows, if you got your spoiler from the anime somehow, I think there'll still be stuff in here for you to, like, get some new information, I should say. Maintains it. The forest is really that kind where you can go hiking in. So, could say that again. I really feel like I neglected the savage woodland. It was dark and damp, and certainly not a forest that made you want to go on a nice walk. Oh, hi! What's going on, any matter? Hello? Dude. So glad so many people are making it for the big climax of the story. Like Oshi-san said, there were security cameras hung up all over the place. Oops. Though they had been weathered by wind and rain, casting down as to whether they're even functional. I wonder if Mion is watching us as we come to her. I don't think she is. The only people living in the Michan's house are generally her and her grandma, after all. There's nobody to watch the cameras. What a useless security system. Well, Michan's father seems like a pretty tough person to get along with, so Whenever everyone in the family is getting together, the cameras are apparently working properly. That's right. Mion's father. He was a big shot Yakuza, wasn't he? Reina smoothly danced around the answer as she explained. At last, a huge gate, as big as I had imagined, appeared. Was she living by herself with her grandmother in a house with such a grand gateway? I wonder if she's here. The old buzzer made a dull sound. Was it cut off in the middle, not being able to get to the house? We waited long enough without a response for me to start thinking like that. However, we finally heard footsteps walking through the gravel on the other side of the gate. I nervously balled my hands, my palms now sweating into fists. There was a clang of a bolt being released, and the gate opened slightly. The person peeking through the gap was none other than Mion. Well, this is unusual. Aren't you two going to school? Mion didn't seem surprised at all by the visitors arriving this morning, which wasn't a normal time. In fact, she almost seemed relaxed, as if she knew we were coming beforehand.
Well, we stayed home today.
Kei-chan is one thing, but you too, Reina? You two are such troublemakers. Mion smiled slightly, in the way that Mion we knew always did. Well, let's not just stand here. Come on in. She gestured for us to follow her. I hesitated for a moment, looking at Reina.
Let's go.
Reina smiled cheerfully as if she were passing through the gate of a good friend's house, and then did just that. I rallied myself to go through the gate too. On the other side, I hadn't been maintained very well, but it was clear that there's a lot of magnificency wide. It wasn't quite what you'd think you'd hear in a mansion, but it was clearly a vast place. Was this the first time you've been here, Kei-chan? Yeah. This house is enormous. Steep thatched roofs aren't in fashion anymore. This place should be a tourist attraction. I want to rebuild it using totally average and boring reinforced concrete soon. Mion dryly smiled as she said that, then closed the gate and relocked the heavy bolt. Don't worry about it. Things have been dangerous lately. Gotta do at least this much during the daytime. Yeah, you're right. Maybe it was my imagination, but I thought I saw a hint of a shadow in her smile. Well then, good sir and madam, I shall show you inside. Please, come this way. Mion bowed to us like a worker at a high-class hotel, then pivoted on her heel and began to walk. Reina gripped my stiffening arm slightly.
Keiichi-kun, you're so tense. We came to see Mi-chan, remember? You don't need to be so nervous.
That's right. When I get nervous, I tend to let everything show on my face. I'll stop tensing up. Even if something were to happen, there were two of us. Oshi-san's subordinates are waiting outside the gate for us, too. There was nothing to worry about. After thinking about it that much, I realized my nervousness was already gone, and I laughed at myself. What's this? Mion, what's up with the stone on top of the newspapers? It's in the way. There was a pile of newspapers on the floor of the entrance, with a large rock on top of them. I didn't understand why something like this was here. Reina noticed me looking at it questioningly and giggled. Reina, do you know? What is this? Some kind of good luck charm? If you don't really know, then I feel free to move it out of the way and put your shoes there.
Keiichi-kun, there's a nest of swallows right above that stone.
Huh? Oh, you're right. This house is for people, but swallows still come in without permission and make nests. It must be like a tradition for them. Whenever spring comes, they always make a nest here. It's kind of annoying, though.
In other words, it's a sign not to take your shoes here because swallow poop could end up on them.
I couldn't help but laugh at this silly contrivance. My laughter naturally spread to the other two. A really long time ago, the Sonozaki family apparently cultivated silkworms. Always wonder besides their hairstyle. Can we tell who is who? There is a way, slightly. I think it's really hard in these sprites, specifically. But if you want to look at, like, anime sprites and, like, the older sprites, and I think some of the PS3 sprites is better, their eye shapes are different. Mion's go down, and Shion's go up, I think. When you think of it that way, maybe it's just desserts, haha. Hold on. I was hoping she'd open her eyes so I could, like, try and show you. It isn't, I don't think it's the best in these ones, but I think it is still there. Their eye shapes are slightly different. The inside of the house wasn't very bright at all. It was dimly lit, in fact, but mysteriously, I could still feel the elegance of the place. Mion seemed to want more modern building, but traditional houses like this aren't bad either. Yeah, okay, see, it's like Shion's eyes would go, like, kind of the other way. These ones aren't very pronounced, though. But, like, hers, I would say, point up, and then so you would know Shion's kind of point down. That's, like, the way that you would tell in, like, the anime and stuff. And I think some of the other interpretations of this novel, but, like, these ones, the sprites, like, they drew them really close to being the exact same thing. You're kidding, right? There's a terrible draft, and the winters are freezing. Don't go making my house into property of a cultural significance and getting in the way of renovations, you got it? What I want most is a house like yours, Kei-chan. Pretty jealous of it. Seems like it'd be really warm in the winter. Oh, but snowfall seems like it would be a problem. Snowfall's a problem? Does Hinamizawa get that much snow? Our latitude is south of Kanto, isn't it? Isn't the region warm? You don't know, Keiichi-kun? Hinamizawa's in an area that gets heavy snowfall. When we get a lot, people get buried. Sometimes you can't even get out of your own house. Sometimes your car gets totally buried too, and you can't find where it is. I wasn't aware of that. Hinamizawa was a bad place for winter? Come to think of it, my dad had something like, this place got a plenty of snow, so we can have fun building igloos. Their personalities, I guess, true. Facts. Facts. Wait. I think Furisu's putting puzzle pieces together really fast. That's way too much snow. You remember from geography class, right? The western side of Japan gets cold winds from Asia. We're different from those stories, protected by the mountains, nice and warm by the Pacific Ocean. Flashback. Nah, never mind, I was cooking too fast. Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see. I'm totally okay with being a softie, and a nice and warm. I hate the cold. We'll have to have a training camp to get Kei-chan used to the cold this winter, then. No way, no way. There's no way that's happening. I hate the cold, and I hate training camps, and I hate them even more when they put them together. You thought you were cooking? Who knows? Maybe you are. You know, we still got a whole chapter to get through. I don't know how long this chapter is going to be either. I just know it's the last one for this book.
Still, there's a lot of fun things to do in the winter. I bet our club will be a blast then.
Our club continuing activities through the winter sounds totally horrible. Like swimming in the cold or marching in the snow. When did we turn into Mount Redhorn? You thought of something else? Oh boy. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of tough punishment games for the winter season. One time, she made us have a Rio Carnival in the schoolyard while the snow was falling. I see the terror of our club cared not for the season. The victor would be decided by who would best adapt to the winter-only events.
We do snowball fights and shaved ice eating contests and treasure hunts in the snow.
Wait, why is everything outside? Why can't we play tabletop games in a nice warm room when it's snowing?
Whoa, Keiichi-kun. If you're saying things like that, you're gonna lose a lot this winter. We'll have lots of punishment games and Reina won't lose. How?
Don't give me that how. I settled things with a cross chop to the head. You're sure having fun. Our walls aren't very thick, so be careful not to go flying through any, okay? The paper sliding door opened, and Mion returned with a pot and a complete tea set. This is so wholesome. Too wholesome. Yeah, it's like we forgot we're here because she may or may not have murdered 5 people. Do you want sesame seeds on your rice? Sorry, we didn't have much in the way of bean paste or other good stuff. It's okay, it's okay. We don't really come here for the drink tea anyway. And with those words, the smile disappeared from Reina's face. Ah, she did it. That one careless statement reminded us of what we had nearly been able to forget. I had wanted to enjoy the peaceful time for a little longer, but we put an end to that with those honestly careless words. When she noticed the smile disappear from Reina's expression, Mion too changed hers. It was as if the cheerful air that was like a warm spring day until a minute ago had slipped through the cracks of the paper door, and altogether disappeared. There was no point in regretting it now. We did not come here today to chat and enjoy ourselves. Mion silently poured tea. During that time, both Reina and I sat kneeling without uttering a word. Oh, you jinxed it. Yeah, that timing. Holy shit. Here you are. Drink up. We couldn't even utter a word of acknowledgement at those natural words of courtesy. There's no poisoning or anything in it. Do you distrust me that much? That's upsetting. Young gave a bitter smile at that and let her shoulders droop. We all remained silent. We remained silent, hoping that someone else would speak up first. That was, however, the one thing we didn't want to do, and so we sat for a long time. At last, Mion smiled scornfully and opened her mouth to speak. Hey now, Kei-chan, Reina. You're the guests. Didn't you come here for something? If you don't speak up first, this whole man won't know what to do. Reina and I exchanged glances, and we both resigned ourselves. Reina opened her mouth to speak first, so I stopped her. Keiichi-kun. It's okay. I needed to come here. Let me talk first.
Okay, I understand.
What would Kei-chan have to tell me? Please give me your daughter's hand in marriage, maybe? Can't do that. My little Reina and Kei-chan aren't meant for each other. Go wash your face with miso soup and try again later. Afterwards, I thought her mean remarks were Mion's way of showing consideration. Mion had said those mean things in total normal voice, and it drained the tension from my shoulders. Mion, first, I have something to apologize for. You do? What for? Mion pretended that she didn't know what I was talking about, but I had clearly gotten my point across. Well, on the night of Watanagashi, the ritual storehouse behind the shrine, I went in there. I could see Mion's expression immediately become harder. I knew it was somewhere I wasn't supposed to go, but it was just supposed to be a little bit of exploration. We didn't mean anything by it. Even so, I still shouldn't have done it. So, I apologize. I'm sorry. To display my deepest sincerity, I pressed my forehead to the table. I'd meant it as if my way of prostrating myself. I figured it wouldn't feel sincere enough if I raised my head right away, so I left it there, on the table for a while. Mion didn't say anything. With my face down, I couldn't tell what sort of expression Mion had. Only the voices of the cicadas filled the room. Mixed with them, I could hear the sound of the clock ticking. And that was all. When I started to struggle to breathe from having my head down for so long, Mion told me to stop. You got me there. I didn't expect you to pitch it to me straight. You got me on the ropes. I looked up to see Mion's face was calm, but she was smiling, faintly. If you understand that even though it was the only casual exploration for you, Kei-chan, that there were a lot of people who think it's no laughing matter, then it's okay. There's an old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. It's been days since then. It may be too late, but I apologize. What I did was wrong. Please forgive me. I could feel pitiful tears welling up inside me. If I had done this sooner, maybe nothing terrible would have happened. It's okay. If you know what you did was bad, then that's enough, right? Mion spoke like it was someone else's problem, and I wasn't happy about it.
Mi-chan, Keiichi-kun is apologizing seriously. I think maybe you should respond seriously as well.
I am being serious, though. Do I not look serious to you, Reina?
You don't.
Reina was giving her a tit for that tat, and so the room's atmosphere quickly began to grow sharper. That's Shion, 100%. Ooh. She was right, though. Even though I came here to speak from the heart, it felt like she wasn't even taking me seriously. Obviously, Reina isn't fond of that.
Keiichi-kun, you can get up now. Let's tell her everything. That looks like Mi-chan wants to.
I had known it would turn out like this from the beginning. Hadn't I come here prepared for that? I mustered my willpower and bit my lip. Mion, you called Rika-chan and Satoko the day before last, right? I don't remember doing so. If you have a reason to think so, could you let me hear it? It was the evening before dinner time. Rika-chan should have come here, bringing a big bottle of soy sauce, to have you share some with her. I was thinking that Shion's... was it? Risu. Sweetie, honey, lamb chop. God damn it. Oh god. Mion was trying to keep me from showing my reaction, but I did miss her eyelid twitching just a little bit. Why do you think that?
It's not hard to understand. Mi-chan, you saw it too, didn't you? Rika-chan's room?
Mion put a finger to her forehead and acted like she was thinking. I know, leave me.
There was chilled tofu, but no soy sauce. Plus, the big bottle of soy sauce that should have been under the sink was nowhere to be found.
What? Is that why she would have come here? Mion, drop the act. You wrote it yourself on the notice, didn't you? That you'd share your soy sauce? Mion scratched her head. I heard her ever so faintly click her tongue. It was as though we found out she'd purposely given a little too change to that servant. That's all I could feel from her. Then Mi-chan, you... Rika-chan, you hid her. Reina hesitated for a moment. I could tell that she didn't want to use the word erased, and that she was struggling to find another word. That was really supposed to be the end, wasn't it? For you, anyway? What are you talking about?
You didn't foresee that Rika-chan would tell Satoko-chan that she was going to your house, did you, Mi-chan? Then, Satoko-chan called. Might Rika be imposing on you? Yeah, probably just like that.
You sound just like her.
Mi-chan, you were in a bit of a bind then, because someone knew that Rika-chan had come here. So, you decided to lure Satoko-chan here too.
Lure her out? Like how, I wonder? Mion prodded Reina on, as if trying to get to the good part of the interesting story. I, however, knew I had been watching Mion change the whole time. She was breathlessly twirling her fingers. She had clearly lost her calm. Of course, it was really just a slight thing, and only I, who had been watching her this whole time, would have known. Mion was panicking. What Reina was saying must have been a bullseye.
It probably went like this. Satoko, actually made too much dinner today, so why not come over and eat? Rika-chan came earlier. She's already eaten some. It's something like that.
Scratch. Mion's nails dug into her knee. There's no recordings of the phone conversations or anything, so how do you know exactly that much?
I know it because the dinner that Satoko-chan made for the two of them was in plastic wrapped in their refrigerator, and it hadn't been touched.
For a few moments, Mion's face was frozen in utter amazement. The Mion smug face, it was pretty good. She looked like she couldn't believe that this person in front of her was Reina. With just that to go on, how did you even guess what we said over the phone?
It's a long explanation, so I'll get to the point. The contents of the refrigerator provided a vivid account of what you had said over the phone when you lured her out.
Risu was locking in that this is not Mion. Mion's jaw remained on the floor. That was the only way I could describe her face. That's... I had no idea I had such an incredible detective right next to me the whole time. I can't believe you figured out everything down to the phone conversation just from what was inside the fridge. You got me there. You got me. You got me. As if a dam had burst, Mion had convulsed with laughter. Her laughter, though, definitely didn't make us want to laugh as well. Mion grew tired of her dumb laughter, heaved a big sigh, and scratched her head. It's almost like Mion had lost the detective punishment game for club or something, and her punishment had been decided. Oh, how fun that would have been if that were true.
An incredible detective. Mi-chan, you're the one who guessed that Oshi-san told us. He called me an incredible detective, too.
As soon as she heard Oshi-san's name, Mion's eyes began to display panic more clearly, so that anyone could be able to tell. Mion, the police have suspected you for a long time now. Oshi-san's officers have had the house under observation, and they could break in at any time. Mion attempted to feign calm, but it looked like she was having a hard time with that. Part of her couldn't believe the police had her surrounded, and she closely examined Reina's facial expressions. However, she couldn't detect a hint of falsehood. Finally, Mion seemed to accept the fact that the police were circling her house. Was the mayor
Mi-chan too? Were Tomotaki-san and Sakano-san you as well?
Mion didn't answer our rapid-fire questions. I could clearly see impatience in her eyes, which were still feigning calm. At last, Mion, who had been sitting there lazily, readjusted her cushion and sat herself upright. At that moment, the atmosphere in the room changed completely. Mion's expression also changed. The impatience and wonderment of her expression disappeared, and she had become so solemn you'd think she was about to conduct a tea ceremony. I could sense it. It was now, in this moment, Mion had ceased to be Mion, and had changed into Mion Sonozaki, the current heir to the Sonozaki house. That solemn atmosphere about her was clearly abnormal, and was entirely different from that of the Mion I knew. Now I could believe it. Now I could believe it. That she was the young leader who commanded the entire Sonozaki clan. Mion quietly placed both her hands on the tatami mat, and gave a beautifully elegant bow, as if this were really a tea ceremony, and named herself. We meet for the first time. I am the current heir to the Sonozaki house. My name is Mion. Mion's movements were so elegant, they could cut, and I couldn't even answer her. All Reina could do was watch, baffled at her actions which we'd never imagined the normal her doing. I would like to welcome you to the Sonozaki main house today. I'll greet you all in place of our leader, Oryo. It seems as though you have various things you would like to ask. If I can be of assistance, then I would like to answer, without concealing anything. What? What did Mion just say? Mion said she could answer anything we asked? There was a strong light of resolve in her eyes. It's really alright if we ask anything, then? I shall tell you everything I know. That is why you've come here, after all. Reina and I exchanged glances. There was a mountain of things we wanted to ask Mion. However, we hesitated for a moment on what we should ask first. The first question Reina gave was extremely abstract, but it was the question everyone wanted to know right now.
Why would you do this?
That's what I wanted to ask as well. Why would you do this? That didn't only go for Rika-chan and Satoko. It went for the mayor, Takano-san, and Tomotaki-san as well. No, even further back, all the incidents that had been occurring every year. For a little while, Mion couldn't respond. Right when we realized the question was too vague and tried to put more into concrete terms, she finally opened her mouth and spoke. To answer that question will take some time. If that is acceptable, however, then I would by all means like to hear it. She spoke clearly. She spoke with clarity that a grandmother might use when telling a story from a long time ago. Do you know that oh my god, I can't even read anymore. Do you know that Hinamizawa village used to be called Onikakushi Village? Rina nodded lightly, then shot me a glance asking me if I did. I returned her nod. Hinamizawa was once called Onikakushi Village, yes. I heard about it the night from Takano-san in the ritual storehouse. They firmly believed that the demon blood ran through their veins and cut off all contact with the outside world. They were worshipped by those villagers at the foot of the mountains and treated like transcendents, those capable of magic. That's right. Our ancestors in the Onikakushi village were proud transcendents descended upon by the demons. Those in the villages at the foot of the mountains worshipped and honored them. Nevertheless, that all decayed at the end of the Tokugawa era. The black ships arrived. The era of the samurai ended. The era of the national isolation ended. And the tradition of worshipping Onikakushi village quickly disappeared. Those things that linger... Holy shit, hold on. This BG is so loud, bro. Those things that linger from the past were all too to be tested. That was the kind of era it became. The Meiji era began in the name of the Onikakushi village with its long history. Its long history was forcibly changed to Hinamizawa village. I have heard that the Meiji government strongly wishes to erase the old customs. The abolishment of feudal domains and the establishment of prefectures. An era had began, seeing Japan sprinting up the stairs to beyond the means and try and reach the same level as the rest of the world. All things in the Western style were to be extolled, while all the old traditional things were to be scorned. That was the sort of era it was. Our ancestors in the Onikakushi village were proud descendants descended from demons. Onikakushi village disappeared in a flash. At last, Japan provoked the great European powers colonizing countries in Asia one by one, began a policy to increase its wealth and military power so that it could stand as a global power in its own right. Yeah. Bluma.exe, stop fucking reading. Holy shit. Conscription began, and they won war after war. The first Sino-Japanese War, and the Russo-Japanese War, until the Pacific War broke out. They recklessly climbed the staircase towards modernization. At the time, Onikakushi village had already lost its impenetrability. Please wait for the Bluma.exe to respond. The villagers once worshipped as transcendents were now at the receiving end of inhuman treatment. The sacred Onikakushi village had been groundlessly labeled an isolation village to those afflicted with some incurable diseases, a mere shadow of its former self, and stood in the precipice of an era of hardship. Thus began harsh days where one would suffer unreasonable discrimination just because people knew one was from Onikafuchi. The children in the village at the foot of the mountain were taught not to go near Hinamizawa because of filthy germs that were rampant there. Children who had come into contact with children of Hinamizawa would cry and wail as their parents purified the spot where they were touched by rubbing salt on it. One of the adults said to the children that if you get lost in Hinamizawa, you would be kidnapped by a demon, cut into pieces, and devoured. Never ever go near that terrifying village of the man-eating demon. That's what he taught them. Another said that during the famine long ago, the people of Hinamizawa gathered up all the corpses they discarded in the dry riverbeds, cooked and ate them over survival. Groundless stories, but said in such seriousness. Baseless slander added to baseless slander, making Onikafuchi village historically accurate, thrilling history all the more believable. Perhaps the chain of undue discrimination was to manifestation of the people's anxiety towards uncertain times. Of course, the story didn't end only with the perspective of children. If anyone found out you were from Onikafuchi, you would be turned down from any job you applied to. People would even go back on engagements and marriage proposals. As for the marriages where one partner had lied about it, as soon as the truth got out, they were made to divorce. It even caused trials. They would appeal to that where one came from wasn't important enough to reason a divorce. They would, however, lose their case. Lying about one's birthplace apparently constitutes a heavy act of misinterpretation in the marriage. That's terrible. I've heard about such discrimination towards those small village and civil class. Just because others know you're from a tiny hamlet, you would be subjected to every socially disadvantage there was, the modern form of bullying. Though I only memorized that because it was going to be on a test one time. I recall being suspicious about it and unable to believe such discrimination occurred in modern Japan. Well, I suppose I can't say that they weren't asking for it. This isn't a bit dramatic. It has to be dramatic. It's true, it's the final chapter. They really gotta rizz us up, you know? They struck fear into the villagers down there, with their mystique and demanded gifts of dread and tribute. With that, Mion smiled for the first time, albeit in self-mockery. During the Pacific War, despite the slogans that all countries were acting as one, those from Hinamizawa continued to suffer all manner of discrimination. There were too many ways to count. They would send their husbands and sons to war, and the women to home front, which suffered greatly too. My grandmother remembers it well. She remembers being a difficult time. Even that bitterly long war, however, finally ended in 1945. Hinamizawa had lost many male hands, but at last their fathers and husbands and sons returned to them. Of course, there were also many who didn't come back. Nevertheless, for those in Hinamizawa who were at their limits, barely able to maintain the village without the men, their return was a happy thing. MacArthur's GHQ set to work on drastically improving mindsets and strove for the abolition of the unfair discrimination. They could feel day breaking on this middle night that was in the previous era. What? What? Remember that time I opened the menu and almost had a panic attack because I thought I was going to quit out the game? Hinamizawa was on the verge of turning into a ghost town. Those in the village started to say that they should rebuild it once again, and got to work, trying to make the village even more beautiful. During that time, someone appeared who built up the fortune through the vast number of dealings in the black market. That was Mion's grandfather, the husband of the elderly father leader, Sohei Sonozaki. Sohei had said that he managed food warehouses in Harbin, and after being dispatched to the Chinese mainland, when it was full time to pull out, he conspired with his superiors and comrades and stole a great deal of the army's canned goods. He hid them somewhere in the Seto Inland Sea and sold them widely at a high price on the black market, thus earning a fortune. I didn't expect this much talking from Mion. We just asked her why she killed people. She's giving us like a history lesson. My goodness. Sohei didn't spend that fortune on his own pleasure, though. He entrusted the entire amount to his wife, the head of the Sonozaki house. Let's revive this ruined village. All who live here are our family, and this fortune is our collective property. So he proclaimed that to his grandmother, the current head of the family, that the vast fortune was a huge reason why Hinamizawa was revitalized after the war. I see. And with that, Hinamizawa came back to life, and that's how the Sonozaki family was established in its current prosperity. Let Mio cook. I mean, Shion. It has to be the reason why she... Because your great-great-grandfather got bullied? Are you serious? Of course, there were many people who begrudged the money coming from the black market, but the villagers no longer minded it. They succeeded at one business venture after another. Those who had succeeded freely supported those who followed. The giant family of Hinamizawa, tied together with a strong bond, kept the expanding on its influence. The Sonozaki family, the center of everything, could be extolled for a long time as the minds behind Hinamizawa's revitalization. Oh wow. No, it's a sacrifice for demons. Yeah. Ryu's just like, let her cook. We'll get there. We'll get there.
And the person in the middle of it all was our Nana, Micha? Was your Nana, Micha? That's amazing. What a great success.
Mion looked like she was honestly happy Reina had praised her. However, around 1955, the wind started blowing in the other direction again. Because of the canned flesh incident. Canned flesh? It sounded so hideous. Just hearing it made me nauseous. Someone naming himself as my grandfather, Sohei Sonozaki's superior, confessed that those canned goods had been human flesh. Hinamizawa, a village in which demons lived and ate humans. They were just about to wipe away that cursed stigma. My great-great-grandfather gets bullied. Let's end everyone years later. Okay, so it is Mion, but what about Shion? We'll get there, we'll get there. The light they had finally started to see in their peaceful lives grew hazy and disappeared. The shocking truth, as revealed by his former superior. The stolen provisions of the old Japanese army that had been a huge cornerstone for Hinamizawa's revival had been canned human flesh. Why were there cans like that? Wasn't Sohei just manager of a food warehouse? His superior revealed that Sohei Sonozaki did not have the job of managing the food. In reality, Sohei's job during the war had been to exterminate pestilent mice and transport the corpses of those infectious diseased. Too many questions, a lot of yapping, but no answers, right? It had been unfair treatment, and all because of the lowliness of his origins. As a result, though, he had returned safely without having been sent to the front lines, or being detained, perhaps. That was the only fortunate thing that had happened to him. Finally, Sohei was enlisted as an assistant at the military medical institution. There, however, he found something even worse than the low, scorned, depressing customs of the Onikakushi village. In the research they were carrying out, could that have been, well, you know, the bacteriological corpse of the old Japanese army or whatever?
Keiichi-kun, you've heard of this?
I was pretty sure it was Unit 731. It was a nightmare unit that devoted itself to researching terrifying bacteriological weapons to break the deadlock on the war. They used a lot of innocent people as fodder for horrible human experiments. They methodically observed how many days a new strain would take to kill a victim. How many days it would be when ejected. How many days it would be when swallowed. The dissection of many people to find that out. Sometimes they wouldn't even bother waiting till they were dead and just dissected them while they were alive. They would strap them to centrifuges while still alive and crush them in the decompression chambers while still alive. When a live human decompresses, all the holes in their body get pushed outwards, and their intestines get pushed out of their anus like a snake slithering out of it. I had a feeling I saw something like that on a documentary one time. Unit 731 noted. Important number. That makes me sick. And they still hate Hinamizawa, huh? You said it. Mion agreed with me, giving a faint, sad smile. It wasn't much in the way of communication, but for some reason I was happy to have it right now. The unit Sohei was way kinder research than that. They were researching concrete methods for reducing the difficulty of delivering food on the battlefield. The military designs at the start of the war completely fell apart, and chronic food shortage broke out all over the battlefront. The food shortage led to malnutrition, and as their natural resistance lowered, the soldiers fell to one disease after another. Spirit morale lowered as well. They wouldn't be able to maintain their force at this rate. Apparently, that's where the research started. At first, it was to find methods delivering food to the battlefield. It was very broad and included things from violent methods like stealing it from citizens to survival methods like how to cook unfamiliar insects and plant life. As they were working out the details, they kept straying off course and going out of control, until finally they knocked down the door called Taboo. What do you think the easiest source of protein on a battlefield is? Raina and I knew the answer without being told. So we didn't answer. That's right. They were researching ways to handle using humans as food. Fighting onwards, sometimes eating the flesh of enemies and sometimes that of allies because the ultimate service paid to their country. They were deathly serious about this doctrine. It really was a riot. My grandfather was despised as someone who ate human flesh, and yet they had gone above and beyond all that. Apparently, he always thought about it too. Even if he was a vulgar, man-eating demon, there were far more ugly demons than he. So no matter how much he was scorned, he wouldn't put up with it. At last, they had a handful of test prototypes. When the soldiers learned it was human flesh, however, the scientists couldn't make anyone eat it. So it was apparently sent to the front lines. The cans were labeled meat substitute, and so, that they wouldn't accidentally eat it themselves, they stamped the bottoms with a circle. They starved soldiers on the front lines apparently loved all the prototypes that were sent. Among them, those who cooked in soy sauce like it was sukiyaki loved it the most. Come on, Michan, stop! I'm getting sick to my stomach. Reina really was pale-faced, and she looked like she was having difficulty continuing to sit on her knees. Mion looked like she had more to say, but she sighed slightly and stopped there. It messes up if a demon calls you a demon. Yeah, you know you're pretty fucked up then. Then, those canned foods your grandpa brought back. I don't know if it's true. Sohei denied it was human flesh up until the day he died. However, those who begrudged Hinamizawa's sudden revival called him a savage for making the fortune of selling human flesh. And the villagers began to be scorned again. They returned to a time when children would be jeered at and have rocks thrown at them. The stifling silence came back. What seriously hopeless and sad story it was. They were discriminated against, discriminated, and were discriminated against. Why must they attach worth and rank to it? Why can't they live without looking down on people? Why can't everyone just enjoy life? I don't know. My grandmother, the family head, once told me the children of the village, if they throw a stone at one of you, then 2 of you must throw stones back. The children asked her, what if they throw stones at 2 of us? Of course, the answer was simple. If they throw stones at 2 of you, throw them back at 4. If they chase you with 8 sticks, drive them off with 16. If they slander 30 of you, yell back with 60. Finally, the children asked, what if they're attacked by 1,000 people? And that answer was simple. If 1,000 people attack you, then everyone in Hinamizawa will stand up against them. It was a manifesto to spur people into action. Is it bad if I'm on my own side here? I don't think so. It was her grandpa that made the flesh can. My grandmother rose up not only as leader of the Sonozaki house, but as the mother of Hinamizawa. It was halfway through 1955. It was a time when riots over a treaty with the U.S. were rampant, a time of battle and action. The people of Hinamizawa joined together and fought, treating unfair discrimination towards one of us as a crime against all. It didn't matter whether one was a child or an adult. If they had heard that the child had been told off, then everyone would crowd the house of the perpetrator, acting as a whole. If they had heard an adult been treated unfairly, men and women, young and old, would all band together and stand against it. On my own side, changed my mind. It's true. No, what she's saying right now is actually super, super good. We're not crazy. Flesh game, but Squid Game if you fucked it up. If you had meddled with people from Hinamizawa, you would be in trouble. They probably figured that it could make others think that too, and they'd win. Kei-chan, do you remember how many people came to help you when you got involved with those delinquents in town? I recalled how much of an impression it had left on me. That the people of Hinamizawa boldly came to my rescue, yet the people of Okinomiya averted their eyes so they wouldn't get involved. My grandmother fought, and my parents carried on the fight. At last, peace returned to Hinamizawa. Of course, that peace had been placed on a razor's edge. When you consider the previous 100 years of history, the tranquility now can only be called a chance interval, standing on uneven scales. Why? Could I really have an opinion on such a long and difficult history that I hadn't moved here more than a year ago? Yet, I said it anyway. Why can't everyone just live in peace? What happened to those old stories of a Yashiro-sama that I heard from Takano-san? Man and demon joined hands and lived together in harmony. Did no Yashiro-sama remain in this world to watch over that? It's a fairy tale. I mean, that even if those people and the demons were real, the Oyashiro-sama who meditated between them wasn't. Is that why Oyashiro-sama's curse happens? A cool gust of wind blows from the outside, fluttering Mion's long, beautifully clear hair. Mion kept her refreshing smile without answering, and didn't even change her expression, but even that became a silent answer. It was all make-believe, and she was a fairy. So that Hinamizawa village might once more be Onikakushi village. So that we may again be a sacred existence worthy of worship. That was the earnest wish of our ancestors in the Onikakushi, and the mission of those who inherit the demon in the Sonozaki main family. Those who inherit the demon? For generations, the Sonozaki family has had a custom of including the character for demon in the leaders' names. If you write out my name with your hand, it would appear plain as day. I trace out the word Mion on the palm of my hand. Oh, she's right. The character for demon is in there. Not only in the name either. The demon is engraved on my body as well. When she said that, she quietly rose and began to lay her hand on her clothing.
It's okay, Mi-chan. You don't need to show us, okay?
Thank you. With just that exchange, I guessed that what she meant. Most likely, somewhere on her body, there was a permanent seal, like a tattoo or marking, that proved that she inherited the demon. Mion didn't sit back down. She smoothly opened the paper door to the porch. A refreshing breeze began to cleanse the damp air filling the room. She's got a tattoo! Yeah, they said that her grandma has a big dragon tattooed on her back, and that Mion probably has one too. She's a demon, marry me! God damn it. Mion quietly gazed out in the wide yard for quite a while. On her shoulders was something I could never imagine a normal Mion carrying. It was heavy, heavy, truly heavy. History of Hinamizawa. No. Of Onikakushi, weighing down on them. What kind of words could I possibly say to Mion like that? Reina wasn't saying anything to her either. Only the voices of the cicadas drowned out the silence. At last, after a long period of nothing, Mion murmured. The serial incidents happening over the past 5 years. I was directly related to some of them, and indirectly to others. Some were not the Sonozaki family, but rather related to the others, the Kimiyoshi family and the Furude family. I think I was at the center of them all. She's a demon. They call me the Demon Hunt. Aha, with Riz. God damn it. She said all this without turning around, with her back to us. At some point, her tone of voice had gone back to being Mion we knew. I have faith in what I've done, and I don't feel any guilt. If I did, perhaps it would be that I will always have to leave the stage before the air is decided. If I'm caught and tried in a court of law, then I suppose that's how it works nowadays. Being able to retire with Hinamiza at the most peaceful it's been in 100 years could be the happiest thing that's ever happened to any of the Sonozaki leaders in the past generations. Mion leaned a shoulder against the paper door, then slid down it and flopped to the ground. It was an act of such resignation that just seeing it made my hurt inside. The numerous terrible crimes Mion had been a part of suddenly began to fade in my mind. No, she's not. No, Reese. She's saying this is as the peaceful as the village has been in over 100 years. Like, her grandma and her grandma's grandma all kept telling her stories. Like, this has been passed down for generations. She is not 100 years old. No. Hey, Mion. I don't care what happens after this. Can't you just try to struggle as much as you can? Like, try to run away? As soon as I began to think that way, Reina's ringing voice filled the room.
But Rika-chan and Satoko-chan, you killed them, didn't you, Mi-chan?
The sharp points in her words stabbed in my chest despite not being directed at me.
I'm not saying that it's okay you killed other people. Regardless, Mi-chan. You killed Rika-chan and Satoko-chan.
Reina's words were more biting than I had ever heard. Even now, that we all knew the heavy history pressing down on Mion's shoulders, she had criticized her for killing our friends. Granny's got some explaining to do. Yeah. Just as I bear the duty of the Sonozaki family, Rika-chan bore the duty of the Furude family. That duty was to protect the ritual storehouse. My chest tightened. I learned around last year that Rika-chan had said something about it. The bars in the storehouse were too heavy for her, and she wanted to change them to a simpler lock and key. Even the priest before her had complained about it being heavy. He was very aware of how hard it was for Rika-chan. I will make sure to guard it, so I want to replace the lock with something lighter. I replied on behalf of the Sonozaki leader. Ever since the string of freak death incidents, there seemed to be people who were more insolent towards Oyashiro-sama, so I shouldn't replace the lock with a simple one. That said, the leader of the Kimiyoshi family, Old Man Kimiyoshi, It was difficult for you, Rika-chan, and I think it's okay to replace the lock, he said. The very fact that it was locked with a key was an indication of it being somewhere you mustn't enter. There's nobody bad enough to break through and go inside, he said. Even if we were alike as leaders, I couldn't find it in me to argue with Old Man Kimiyoshi since I owed him so much. In the end, we decided to change the lock on the storehouse and switch it to a really cheap, light padlock. Old man. Is this really alright? Nana says if it's possible we should keep the lock the same. It'll be alright. You're quite the worrywart. If something happens, this old man will take all the responsibility. Do you promise? You mean that you'll take responsibility as leader of the Kimiyoshi family, right? You should be well aware how sacred the things inside really are. Wait, Rika-chan's dead? I missed one. Yeah, Rika and Satoko are both gone. It's okay. There aren't any bad cats in Hinamizawa who could open the lock and break in. Meow meow. Oh. Sobs escaped from my mouth. Something hot and wet dripped down the spades and fell into the tatami mat. I had already heard of the thieves entering the ritual storehouse during the Watanagashi festival. There were 4 of them. We had decided to act within the day. At the same time, we needed to demand that the others who allowed the thieves to break in, Rika-chan and the Furude family, and Old Man Kimiyoshi, take responsibility. My tears dripped and dropped. Until just now, I had decided that it was Mion's fault, and that she killed Rika-chan and the others. But that was wrong. The one who killed them wasn't Mion. It was me. I might as well have killed them.
Keiichi-kun.
I had a chance to stop this tragedy from happening, and yet I didn't. Cheap curiosity got the better of me, and I didn't. If at the time I had stopped us from sneaking into that ritual storehouse, Rika-chan and the others wouldn't have had to die. If I had, then nothing would have happened. We would have been spending our days having lots of fun, just like we always did. I was an idiot. If by shedding tears I could take it all back, then I would have filled the room with them. However, such a meager act wouldn't be enough to redeem myself for the crime I've committed. Kei-chan, you're not at fault. Mion gently began to speak to me, as if trying to reason with me. As the leader of the Sonozaki family, I needed to act. But given the history of the Sonozaki family, thinking about it now, it's no big deal. Maybe I should have just saved my friends, even if it meant casting it all aside. I yielded to it, and that's why I had to kill those two. I, Mion Sonozaki, and nobody else killed them. I had hundreds of chances to stop it, but I didn't stop. I gave in to the easy role that was handed me, and I abandoned all thought of fighting for my friends. So this is my crime. I killed them. Mion Sonozaki, with these hands, killed them. And nothing whatsoever changed. Nothing. Her masochistic laughter was sad, especially because Mion boasted in club that she would turn the tables on whatever predicaments presented themselves. It was so painful.
Still, Mi-chan, you saved one person of your own volition.
Eh? As I looked at her surprised, Reina stuck her finger right at my forehead.
You left Keiichi-kun alive. As strong as you are, Mi-chan, it would have been trouble for you, but you didn't kill him.
Mion did nothing wrong. That's right. Mion was so cunning that nobody would stand up to her, even in our club. If she had seriously tried to kill me, I would have been dealt with on the very first night. So many people have been sacrificed, but I was always left in the cold. When did I first realize it? Even though people were disappearing one after another, for some reason, I had this vague belief that only I would be left alive. Why didn't I kill him? As a demon, I can't even begin to guess. Maybe Mion had some reason she didn't want to kill you. What's that supposed to mean? Shh. Mion put a finger to her lips to say that Reina didn't need to talk. Is Oshi-san waiting outside?
Yeah.
Any way out?
No. They said they have the place surrounded. It seemed like they called a lot of cars over the radio. I think they have your entire property surrounded.
Mion fell silent. Reina's merciless words felt cruel, but they weren't meant to be. Maybe they were trying to lessen her good friend's pain, if only by a little bit. Maybe they were considerate, like she was trying to help.
Please, turn yourself in.
Mion didn't open her mouth, but she smiled just a little bit.
We'll go with you. We'll never leave a friend by herself.
Crying children and Reina are the only things I can't beat. She rose, scratching her head. Her face had returned entirely to that of the usual Mion. I'm well aware of how serious my own crimes are. Even if they accept me turning myself in, I'll probably never be able to come back here. I couldn't say anything. The number of deaths Mion was involved in was just too large. So much so that maybe recommending she turn herself in was, in a way, extremely cruel. So, I'd like you to hear one last selfish request.
What is it?
30 minutes is fine. Just let me have some time alone with Kei-chan. Huh? My name suddenly came up, and I looked like I was the only one surprised about it.
Keiichi-kun, is that okay with you? If you don't want to, then I won't make you.
You're right. It's okay if you don't want to. After all, I'm a demon. And Kei-chan is a bona fide human who moved here from somewhere else. For us to be compatible, as long as Yoshiro-sama doesn't exist to meditate, it simply isn't possible. There was no reason for me to hesitate. Mion had been engulfed by a heavy, unopposable tradition. Right now, the duty of handling this had fallen to me and me alone. In fact, with me cornered, it would have been okay for her to blame me. However, Mion didn't say one word of blame. Far from it. I was guilty of the same crime, and she let me go. Oh my god, there ain't no way what I'm thinking. Oh boy. And Keiichi is dense as fuck. Yeah, he is. Amidst the fate she could not oppose, she saved me alone. I didn't know whether I could be thankful for that. Thinking on it now, I didn't know how much easier it would be. If I were to be granted the same punishment of Rika-chan and the others, the only thing I knew for sure was that I had an equal duty to bear, the sins that Mion shouldered. So when it came to Mion's last request, there was no reason for me to hesitate. Sure, it's fine. Thank you. I'd like to thank you too.
Keiichi-kun.
Reina stood up. It looked like she would keep her promise to Mion and leave. It's fine, Reina. You can wait right here. I just want to go around the yard with Kei-chan. If you're bored, you can go to my room, read any manga you want. And if there's any volumes you like, you might as well take them.
I don't want to. Mi-chan's books belong to Mi-chan. Reina couldn't bring them back home without her so freely.
You're such a good kid. Only at times like this. Mion took Reina's head and rubbed it violently like she always did. Alright, let's go, Kei-chan. I began to walk after Mion, who headed for the hallway when Reina silently stopped me.
Take care of Mi-chan.
Yeah.
Mi-chan really does believe she won't ever be able to come back.
I didn't know much about laws, but with as many deaths as she's involved in, the chances of her escaping heavy punishment seemed non-existent.
Watch out, so you don't make her lose her temper, okay?
Mion might not surrender herself to justice, so I might have to put an end to it myself. Reina had already thought that far ahead. Right. I won't let that happen. Reina rubbed at her tears, which had fallen without her noticing.
Okay, then go after her.
I nodded and then followed Mion, who had disappeared out the front door. I could clearly hear Reina sobbing from the other side of the paper door. Why was Mi-chan made a successor to the demons? Maybe it just had to happen that way. But it's just so awful. Something got burned down my cheeks. They were my tears. I forcefully wiped them away. This was the last of my time I could offer to Mion, so I absolutely didn't want to let her see tears during it. Mion was already waiting outside the front door. I put on my shoes, tapped the toes against the floor a few times, and left, and Mion timidly came over. Why was she turning all red at a time like this? Can I hold your arm? It was such a modest request. I don't mind. With my permission, her face lit up with glee, like a child being given a toy, and took my arm. Did you get kind of nervous with your arm through mine? You're not thinking, for example, that I'd suddenly put up a world-class joint lock or anything. You two say the same things. I don't think that. At all. Back when nothing had gone wrong yet, during those nostalgic days of bustling commotion at Angel Mort, I counted back and was amazed. It had only been a week ago. I had been arm in arm with Shion then, too. Linking arms with Mion like this. really reminded me that they were twins. How much strength they put into it. The sensation of their arms, their warmth, and the blood flowing. I could feel their living sensations were all exactly the same. I think Shion liked you, Kei-chan. I see. If this were a regular conversation, I might have jumped back, red in the face. Right now, though, no matter what I heard, my mind remained at peace. Mion and Shion. You got along well, didn't you? Well, I wonder. Kei-chan, do you think your right hand and left hand get along? Huh? My right hand and my left hand? I don't think you could describe them as getting along or not. And that's how our relationship is. You can't measure it by the scale of how well we get along. That didn't sound like it meant they got along really well. For example, one of your hands is dominant, so there's always going to be a better hand. It should have been me! If you only had one oven mitt, you would put it in your dominant hand without thinking, right? I think maybe it was like that for us. That doesn't mean, though, that anyone could be okay with losing their left hand. It's that kind of unexplainable relationship. I think that maybe you live too close together and just stop being able to see it, but I think that means you get along really well. I'm an only child, so the day before the festival, I was really jealous when you and Shion were messing around with each other. I think you're jealous of something that doesn't exist. Yes, we twins used to have a lot of fun playing tricks on people, but now we have such distinctly different personalities, it just gets in the way. Were they cursed or were they just self-conscious? Their relationship was hard to understand for an outsider. Maybe that wasn't an issue someone like me should intrude on. Just staying silent and nodding gently was the best way to advance the conversation. Mion passed through the wide yard and invited me into the big, desolate forest we'd been on the way in. Such a big forest was part of their property, so I couldn't help but feel small. It's huge. You must have had a great time playing in it as kids, huh? Mion seemed to be silently reminiscing. I couldn't look into her mind, but she was probably thinking back to those fun days, when they played as sisters without antagonism. Every time the wind blew, it caressed the tree tops and the leaves, making a swishing, murmuring sound. So I'm thinking that either Shion or Mion wanted to have something with Kei-chan. Yeah. Maybe both. Mion remained silent for a long time. Thinking back on your younger sister, whom she had gotten rid of with her own 2 hands, there was no need for me to get a word in. Just walking like this, arm in arm, was enough. Mion suddenly stopped and turned. Shion is still alive. Really? Mion took a hard look into my eyes, then nodded quietly. Yeah. I've been thinking to give her the most horrible death of all, so I locked her up. I never did think of a good way to do it, though. Mion sounded as though she hated Shion, but also deep down, she didn't completely detest her. So I took my other hand and wrestled Mion's hair with it. Mion didn't only save me, she saved Shion, too. Mion may have become a demon that led many people to their deaths, but she fought against it and was able to save 2 people. As I petted Mion, she narrowed her eyes in an entranced smile and untangled her arm from mine. And then Mion quietly said, "Come with me. I want you to see all of my sins. Although, Kei-chan, it might be the worst thing you've ever seen." I could sense it. That I would probably find all the sacrifices up until now. Looking at them would mean accepting Rika-chan and Satoko-chan's deaths, as well as accepting that my best friend had done it. It's already happened and it's in the past. You can choose not to look, Kei-chan. If you don't want to, then wait here. I will personally end everything. I was taken aback by how ominous that sounded. I remembered what Reina had told me. Mion might not surrender herself to justice, but instead choose to put an end to things herself. I couldn't leave her on her own. Besides, I agreed to her last request, didn't I? Even if it was hard for me to accept, I'll still do it. Even if I avoided looking, it was something that had already happened. It doesn't matter what I see. Yes? Weird flex, but okay. True. Hey man, you want to see all these dead bodies? Yeah, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but... Mion Sonozaki is the best friend I could ever have. And that won't change. And it never will. The treetops silently swayed in the wind. You and Reina both. Why do you only get really cool at a time like this? Normally I'd say something rude right back at her, evading the question, but today I didn't. Joke's on her, I'm in on it. I just answered with a smile. At last, Mion started walking. Into the thick forest, into the deepest part. After following the thin path that looked like an animal trail for a while, we finally came across a steep incline and tunnel that reminded me of a coal mine or a bomb shelter. My man. God damn it. We were surrounded by shallow hills. It had been created in a spot not visible to the outside. There were many silhouettes of crows and trees here and there. The abnormal odor, I'd been smelling it for a while, was doubtlessly escaping from this place. If you want to turn back, now's your chance. I don't know what kind of person Mion Sonozaki is to you. But if you go inside, that Mion will probably... She won't change. I'll say it as many times as I need to. Mion Sonozaki is the best friend I could ever have. I clenched my fists. Inside there was probably a sight beyond anything I could imagine. If I let my guard down, I might end up vomiting. Even so, I'll endure it. I'll overcome this pain and this suffering. I will never change that Mion is the greatest friend. I am nothing more than a demon, so I don't understand these human feelings anymore. I have a feeling, though, that I know why Mion fell in love with you. Don't say that like it's not related to you. You're Mion. You're not a demon. You're a human with human blood, and you're my friend. Mion made a gesture like she was wiping tears from her eyes, but then placed a hand on the big door of the tunnel entrance. The lock on it was dauntingly strong-looking. It seemed to demand the appropriate resolution from whoever was to enter, just like a ritual storehouse. When the double doors opened, a stifling, rotting air and a bunch of winged insects came rushing out. Just imagine if you went inside and Rika-chan was on there just alive and chilling. Yeah. They're all just down there like having tea and shit. They're like, oh hey! I remembered accidentally killing a hermit crab a long time ago by leaving its tank out on the porch, and how intense the odor it left was. If that was the smell of a corpse, then that certainly was what it smelled like. Inside it was pitch black, but Mion flicked on a switch and turned on a light bulb, illuminating the interior. The path turned into a series of intricate wooden tunnels. We passed spaces that looked like they were in storage. We passed places that looked like someone had lived there. And this indicated that it had been used as a bomb shelter, as a stockpile during the war. It didn't give the impression of a dugout bomb shelter that had just been left there, though. There was a sense of dignity, as though this were a second Sonozaki house constructed underground. Despite being a pitch darkness below the ground, the voices of the cicadas was entering through an air hole somewhere, giving it a very mysterious feel. You saw the ritual storehouse, right? The piles of torture instruments. All of them were created to uphold the strict religious laws of the Onikakushi village. They were tools used to kill those who broke the laws in terrible ways as much as warning others. That was a long time ago. Watanagashi originally was a ritual, meant as the deterrent, was once overseen by the three families. But thanks to that Kimiyoshi and Furude families going into decline, and the way the times changed, actually carrying it out became difficult. I can imagine why. You'd never think people could be okay drowning people in a swamp or killing them in modern Japan. That's why the Sonozaka family built this. A secret place, so that we can continue to conduct the rite of Watanagashi even in modern times. Mion opened a large, strikingly different door, and inside was none other than a modern storehouse for the ritual implements. There's quite a few, isn't there? Some of them were actually brought here from the original storehouse. All of them things that had been rusty and covered in dust, so they didn't seem that real. But the things that were here were different. Every one of them had been well maintained and kept in a state that could be used right away. Not the best place for a date, but alright, yeah. She's like, I gotta think outside the box. I'm into it. Facts. Also, perhaps as a precaution for the splatter of blood, the walls and ceilings were covered in a kind of tiling you'd see in bathrooms, and there was even a drain set amongst the slight slope in the floor. There was also a coiled rubber hose along the wall attached to a faucet, perhaps for cleaning up the splattered blood. According to something a leader said from a long time ago wrote, blood splatter has impact, despite the fact that it doesn't tax the sacrifice. Watanagashi was meant to be a deterrent, after all. My ancestors thought up all different kinds of ways to show off. Joke's on her again. Dab me up, brother. Mion pointed deeper in the torture room, to a spot veiled in darkness. There was surprisingly a room filled with tatami mats and a corner of a pile of cushions. They're seats for an audience. Watanagashi was meant as a deterrent, after all. It wouldn't make sense if there were no guest. I couldn't speak. I couldn't think of anything to say anyway, except that if Mion revealing all this to me made her feel lighter, then I was prepared to listen for as long as I needed to. Right here is where I killed everyone. There was no spectators to watch me, but I did the Watanagashi very well. Well, perhaps there was one spectator. Huh? A spectator? Me. I, the demon, was watching the entire time Mion held the Watanagashi ceremony. Mion cackled in self-deprecation. It wasn't a nice-sounding laugh. Back there is the prison. Is Shion there? She nodded lightly. Mion's Watanagashi had ended today. I needed to tell Shion that I was safe without the moment's delay. After all, she was probably trembling in fear at this very moment, worrying about whether she would be killed. The ostentatious door to the other side opened, revealing that it must have been incredibly expansive space based on the echo it made. Mion groped around in the darkness, and a handful of naked light bulbs came in here and there. People are into some kinky stuff in this town. As my eyes adjusted more and more till the great cave showed itself in the faint light. The walls were bare rock surface, and it felt so strange, savage, that a bomb shelter was the most apt term for it. Being honest, I remember first I didn't like Mion, but now that she's a demon, I want to marry her. I mean, really like her now. Not because she's just demon, though. Risu is down bad. There were small barred rooms built here and there, like holes made by insects biting their way through a giant piece of fruit. It was immediately clear that each one of them was a prison. Where is everyone? Rika-chan and Satoko? Their corpses? I grimaced at her, having said it so outright. Yeah, that's right. The poor things being left here in the dark like this. I didn't want them to get infested with bugs, so I threw them down the well. Sorry. I would respectfully look at her. God damn it. So I can't even see their faces in death. Once again, my feelings of regret at having confessed everything to Rika-chan came surging forth. If Mion hadn't attached the word sorry to the end of what she said, I might have punched her. Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. You said it yourself. No matter what, Mion Sonozaki is your greatest friend. Yeah, my greatest friend. needed to hear myself say it out loud. Then came the clattering of bars in one of the cells deeper in. When I noticed it, I looked up as well. Shion? Is that Shion? Kei-chan? Is that you, Kei-chan? I ran over to the cell. White hands were peeking out through the gaps of the bars. It really was her. Are you alright, Shion? Are you hurt? No. No. No! Shion's face twisted out of shape as she screamed. It was because Mion had appeared right behind me. Of course. Shion didn't know that everything was over yet. Calm down, Shion. Everything's already over. Everything. I spoke in a calm voice as I tried to manage to try and soothe the agitated Shion. Keiichi really just friend-zoned Mion, right? However, it didn't seem like it was getting through to her screams. Shion, how have you been? No more, please! No more! I don't want to see anyone else die. If you hate me, then just kill me already. I'm the one you hate, right? Kill me. Kill me now. Sis. Calm down, Shion. It's all over now. It's gonna be okay. Calm down. Shion, who was screaming and rattling the iron bars back and forth, was truly in a frantic state. I gave a slight shrug of resignation, giving way to Mion. I had realized that if Mion was the one who locked her in there, and if Mion was the one who had scared Shion this much, then Mion was also the only one who could put an end to this. Mion spoke from over my shoulder, quietly. Relax. I won't kill you. No. I won't kill you just yet. She burst out into a bizarre laugh, as if trying to make Shion's madness even worse. Shion broke out in a fierce shiver, brought on only by that laugh that rattled the iron bars as she wailed. Please stop! Don't kill Kei-chan! Kei-chan has nothing to do with this, does he? If you're gonna kill someone, then kill me right now. I don't want anyone else to die. If you want to die that badly, then after I've killed this man, I'll take my time making mincemeat out of you. In accordance with the ancient rites, I'll do it slowly, starting with your excrements. I'll shave you down and mince you. I heard that mincing machine set up specifically for you, after all. Oh, shit. Oh, hi, Muffin. Boy, did you get here at a good time. Oh, I did the ara. Did I? Did I have a good voice? Good. I've been trying to practice my voice acting. So Shion is not a demon? Question. Reese, are you trying to figure out which one you're gonna marry? Which one has more demon in them? Is that what's going on? Hey, quit it already. What do you have to gain from scaring her at this point? No! Kei-chan, run away! I tried to rebuke Mion for flinging terrible words at her this late in the game, but when I turned around, Mion's mouth so much that it was hard to believe had twisted into a shape thinner than a crescent moon, and it was a smile. You can marry both. I could sense it like a jolt of electricity. The person here wasn't my best friend Mion. It wasn't the Mion Sonozaki who had been tossed about by her heavy duties succeeding the Sonozaki family either. On your way home, be able to watch Trude? Okay. Sounds good. Good luck out there, man. Both is good? Yes. Both is good. Then who was she? But bam! I saw sparks flying before my eyes, like what happens when you get hit in the back of the head. The strength in my body drained instantly, and my head suddenly became heavy. My knees buckled out from under temptation and hit the floor. Then my whole body abruptly collapsed. My face should have hit the floor, but it was comfortable. I had fallen onto a down-filled futon. My consciousness reeled and receded. It was kind of a sensation like if you took a nap in the car, but you were still half awake and could listen to the parents talking as if they were far away. No, you wouldn't be listening. You'd only be hearing. It was happening so far away and the conversation was completely unrelated to you, so you'd have no interest in it. So whether Shion was yelling in my ears or Mion was vulgar hysterics, I didn't think it annoying, nor did it interest me. Now then, I wonder how I should go about preparing you. Oh yes. What do you think of a bed of nails? I tested it on those two little brats, but their hands were way too small for the restraining table. Let's do that. Let's do that. Mion held me up from behind and dragged me across the floor. The soles of my feet scraped on it, and one of my shoes fell off. No! Please stop, sis! Please stop. Shion's emotions exploded outward as she burst into a bitter weeping. As if her crying had whetted Mion's interest, she had flung me down and returned to the prison cell again. My, you sure can cry with a cute voice, can't you? Your unnatural bravado was making my skin crawl, but this definitely suits you best. Mion, my big sister, I beg you. I don't care how you choose to kill me, but please, at least let Kate-chan go. I'm begging you. Shion had always acted like she was a cut above her older sister. That Shion, in such a miserable voice that I couldn't have imagined in during those peaceful times, prostrated herself before the older sister she used to scoff at and pleaded forgiveness. Betrayed by own in an underground dungeon, why am I not surprised? Yeah, for real. Somebody called it earlier, right? As soon as Mion was like, hey, give me 30 minutes. Keiichi, let me show you something. Somebody was like, oh yeah, this is gonna go well. I don't know. Somebody called it. Mion looked down with an expression of a cool indifference, one that was plainly smiling with joy. You know, I wasn't planning on listening to your petty wishes. The way you're crying, though, it's just too funny. I think maybe I'll change my mind and listen to you. Since, come to think of it, I never did anything big sister-like for you. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Alright then, let's hear you apologize for everything. Then maybe I'll let all the water from under the bridge. And maybe, just maybe, I'll let Kei-chan go too. Mion said she might let me go, but she never said anything about letting Shion go. Before long, Shion got her hands on knees and begged on the bars and began to speak weak words of an apology. They were far too faint for me to hear, but their intention got across. Despite having watched her with magnificently jubilant expression, Mion kicked the bars and declared that she was unsatisfied. You think you can make up for years of grudges and hard feelings like that? That just will not do. I guess I'll make mincemeat out of you both. No! Wait, sis! One more chance! Just one more chance! Mion stopped and waved her hand again in resignation. She did say she didn't want to end her. This is the word. Oh my god, yeah. Not because she had grown impatient, but only because she was taking delight in abusing Shion. You can't apologize to my satisfaction anyway. I'll teach you how to make an apology that'll get through to your older sister. I'm only going to tell you once, and if you get even a letter wrong, you're out. Got it? Yes. Yes. Thank you, sis. Shion's miserable voice cried out, having become utterly hoarse. The sensation tearing through my chest returned a little at a time. I realized it was feelings of anger bubbling up. I was slowly regaining control of my body. However, I was only able to feel my skin and my blood flowing at the moment. I still couldn't voluntarily move my fingers. Did you memorize it? Then let's hear you say it. Sincerely and faithfully from the beginning to the end, with all your heart. If you can do it properly, then I'll only kill you. Yes. Thank you so much. Something was strange. Something had become so strange at some point. Until just a few moments ago, I was sure this had been Mion, but at some point, she had become someone else. The Mion I knew well would never do something so nasty like enjoying trampling all over someone's dignity like this. Now, let's hear it. Your big sister is listening closely. Shion Sonozaki is... When I ran over to Shion's cell earlier, had the real thing been swapped out with a fake right before me? Anyway, this couldn't possibly be Mion. Shion Sonozaki is a lowly, worthless sow, not fit to even lick her big sister Mion's feet. And when I think of the countless times I've been rude to my big sister without knowing my place. Yes, that's the spirit. I'll permit you to say a little more now, okay? Blood circulated through my whole body. My numb senses were returning. Just a little more. While Shion is still holding Mion's. No, that thing pretending to be Mion's attention. Hurry up! I reflect on how impertinent I have been, and swear loyalty to my big sister Mion for the rest of my life. So, Mion's burst of laughter echoed through the big cave, growing to a terrifying level. That was not the laugh of someone who is alive in this world. It was none other than the laugh of a demon from the bowels of the earth. She laughed from her stomach until she grew tired of it and stopped smiling suddenly as if sniffing a wire. Alright already. That was funny enough for me. I didn't think you'd throw away that much of your pride. That was plenty enjoyable. Mion begged to drag me again, after I finally got the feeling of my body back, and pulled me towards the torture chamber. Sis! Only kill me! Please forgive him! Don't worry, alright? I'll be sure to kill you real good. After letting you get an earful of Kei-chan's screams, that is. No! After dragging me to the torture chamber, she skillfully strapped me to the restraining table. Before I knew it, I was sprawled out and bound. She forced open my hands, with which I couldn't easily make a satisfying fist, and tightly restrained each one of my fingers. She fastened only my hands and my fingers at that, tightly, and the hinges locked them in place. Sis, don't kill him! Sis! The door to the big cave with the jails had been left open, and I could hear Shion's cries of mortification the entire time. Can you hear it, Shion? I'm gonna get started now. Please enjoy Kei-chan's young screams. Give it a fucking rest. The feeling in my body returned, and the first action I took was to tell off that thing that looked like Mion. Awake at last, are we? I lied before, you know. About having wanted to give Shion the most miserable death of all, but locking her up because I thought couldn't give a good way yet. That was a lie. Mion brought something over that looked like a toolbox. From inside it, she removed a large metal hammer, and next to that, she began to line up what looked like long, strangely shaped nails whose ends had been turned into hooks, like the kind you'd see on a harpoon. I'll let her hear the screams of all the people that died because of her, and after they've soaked it into her very soul, then I'll kill her. I've got plenty of good taste, huh? Who are you? Huh? I'm Mion. Mion Sonozaki. Has the fear driven you crazy? No, you're not. There's no way you can be Mion Sonozaki. Mion snorted and continued her preparations for the horrifying torture. I see. Then if I'm not Mion, who am I? A demon. Huh? You're not Mion. Mion was just here. Give her back. Kei-chan, is your brain really doing okay? You're not going crazy with fear? Don't touch me, you damn demon. Give her back. Give Mion back. My best friend, give Mion back. Mion stood there for a few moments, with her jaw hanging open, not having expected me to say that. I myself knew that I was about to go insane. I knew it was nonsense to demand Mion's return when she was right in front of me, but this person in front of me couldn't possibly have been Mion. There was no way I could accept that. So, this is what I thought. Mion really had been possessed by a demon. It was controlling Mion as if it was a separate personality. Mion just a victim being manipulated by it. The evil one was really this thing. It all had to be doing of the demon, possessing her. When Mion heard that, she started to guffaw, laughing so hysterically that she started to cough and almost choked. You really are a piece of work, you know that? In this very moment, Mion Sonozaki is trying to kill you, and you're trying to reject me? I never knew there was such a funny person in all the world. If you want to laugh, do it all you want. No matter what you say, though, I won't accept that you're Mion. Give her back. Away with you, demon. Wow. Kei-chan, are you trying to kill me by drowning me in my own tears? No matter what, I won't lose to that laughter of hers. I shouted loudly. I shouted from the bottom of my heart so that the real Mion, trapped inside the Mion I saw in front of me, would be able to hear. You can do it, Mion. Don't lose to this piece of shit demon. You're strong. Show me how strong you are. The tears welled up and flooded down her face. Her hands were busy with the restraints, so she couldn't even wipe them. She just let them flow. Please, Mion. Mion! Where did you lose to a demon like this? You're not that weak, are you? Don't lose. Fight. Fight! Mion, desperately enduring her laughter, pressed one of the long nails to the tip of my left pinky. In her left hand was the hammer. At her right side were dozens more nails. I could tell that she was about to do, though I wished I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't afford to be scared. That's why I shouted. My sides hurt like they're about to split. Is that all? I'm going to get started now. Be sure to give her some good screams. Not only am I torturing you, Kei-chan, but I'm torturing Shion as well. Why? Why would you? Mion! Then I wept. Only sobs came out. They weren't an acceptance of the torture about to be performed, however. They were tears of regret that Mion had lost to the demon. Yet, a small change did occur in Mion in front of me. Her heightened excitement was draining, little by little. By the time I'd realized it, the one in front of me had returned to being Mion. Kei-chan, this may not be something pleasant to take to the grave with you. You really seem to want to know, though, so I'll tell you just one thing. I didn't know if this was Mion or just a display of momentary humanity the demon had recovered. A long time before the demon came to live inside of me. It was gnawing at my heart, trying to spur me to violence, but I suppressed it with my reason. That settled the demon down, and I got to thinking I'd gone away somewhere. As it turned out, I was wrong. It hadn't left me. It had just gone to sleep. I noticed that there were tears coming from her eyes. The demon woke up again, due to a certain small opportunity. What do you think that opportunity was. There was a sad and yet reproachful light in Mion's eyes. Do you understand? I don't know. What gave the demon the chance to beat Mion? This might be strange for me, a demon, to say, but you're the reason everything got so messed up. The tears welling up in her eyes spilled downward all of a sudden. At that time, if you had given me that doll and got without hesitating, maybe everything wouldn't have gotten so twisted.
I fucking knew it. Holy shit. It's literally all because of that fucking damn doll.
The doll I got. That doll that I got when our club had the meeting at the toy store. You probably can't understand. I wouldn't expect you to. But you see, all sorts of things started falling over like dominoes right after that, and soon it was just too much for me to control. Oh my fucking god, right? It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of knocking over the first one, since it was so small. But you're the one who set it up. That can't... Me? If you hadn't made Mion cry, then I wouldn't have had to wake up. Is that enough? For you to die in peace? A mistake that I'd made on that day was what messed everything up? That can't be, can it? It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of it. Even so, Kei-chan, you are without a doubt the cause. If you had nonchalantly given me the doll that day, then I don't think this would have happened. I wanted to say, like I had just remembered something, as I recalled that day. Reina had told me about that, and I thought I had apologized. I didn't apologize to Mion, though. It had been Shion. In other words, oh god. I hadn't said a single word of apology to Mion. Today I came to this house saying everything I had to apologize for, but I never said a word of apology about this. And come to think of it, when I apologized for going to the ritual storehouse, Mion looked a little bit lonely, like she was disappointed. Why didn't I realize that until just now? Reina told me at the time, and now she herself, no, the demon was telling me. Is the only way for this density like me to be cured to die altogether? I could no longer hold back the hot tears from pouring out of me. I simply just cried and reflected indifferently on the taste of my tears, on the taste of regret. Can I start now then? This method of torture is very simple. I'll nail one of these into the joint at the end of your left pinky finger. Then I'll nail each one in order until I get to your thumb. And then I'll go back to your pinky nail, one joint in the middle. So on until I hammer 15 nails into your left hand. When that's all over with, I'll go to your right hand next. And after that, if you're still conscious, I'll tell you. There are a lot of nerves bundled in your fingertips, so it hurts far more than you can imagine. Some people apparently pass out before you finish hammering 30 nails into their hands, so... Mion pressed the tip of the nail to my left pinky finger. My wrists, my arms, and all the joints on my fingers were strapped out so tightly it hurt. I couldn't even twitch. Yeah, don't be dense. Look what happened to Keiichi. It's true. If you like a girl, just tell her. Don't wait, because then a demon's gonna come out and then you're gonna lose all the joints in your hand. Shit just happens, man. I didn't really hesitate at all when I was torturing the others. Why do I hesitate now? If this will satisfy your demon, Mion, if it will state the demon, then do to me what you will. Are you serious? Compared to how much I hurt Mion, this is nothing, right? Do as much as you want. In exchange, promise me 2 things. Mion was silent. She did, however, wait for me to speak. After you're satisfied with causing me pain, forgive Shion. She's been punished enough to make up for her crime of sneaking to the storehouse, hasn't she? You. After all this, you can still worry about Shion more than yourself. The other thing is that when you've had your fill, you disappear. Give that body back to Mion. That's all. You know, are you not even considering possibly begging for your life or anything? Can I ask you to promise me 3 things instead of 2? The third is to leave me alive. You said 2 in the beginning, didn't you? So you can't have any more. That's a shame. In such an abhorrent situation, Mion and I laughed quietly together as if sharing a stupid joke. I probably won't keep these promises, understand? I'm a demon after all. I guess there's nothing I can do then. It's kind of sweet. Fucked up, but sweet. Yeah, it's true. I recall tightening my hands into fists when enduring the pain at the dentist office. Right now, though, they were opened up all the way to my fingertips, so I couldn't even grip them. Just enjoying it, to be honest. Okay. Do it. I've prepared myself already, so do it. You waiting like this to hammer the nails is scarier. I'm going to diminish my readiness after all. Mion put down the hammer and gently stroked my cheek. Oh, hi! Bro. Kei-chan. I'll agree to just the third thing, okay? Huh? My third wish? To save me? She'll agree to it? Your first wish, to save Shion. That's long done for. The demon will kill her. It's already been decided, so I can't stop it. So give up on that. Her delicate fingertips slid down my cheek to my chin. As for your second wish, to give this body back to Mion, that won't happen either. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body is here, it'll just be a body. Because the Oni has taken it. That isn't true. Mion, don't say such sad things. Like that she won't ever come back. Can you hear it? That sound. Mion gently closed her eyelids and listened. I definitely hear it as well. Slam. Slam. It was a dull noise that repeated at fixed intervals. A low noise accompanied by vibrations. A lot of people were ramming the iron doors to this underground ritual house. You're late. So Reina probably called Oishi. That spaced out girl being so quick thinking was one thing I didn't anticipate. I'll agree with you there. Mion grinned like she'd been outwitted and took out something that looked like an electric razor out of her pocket. When she pressed the switch, pale blue sparks flew out of the snapping noise. You've probably never seen one before, right? It's a real stun gun. It's illegal and its output has been increased quite a bit. Time to try and figure out what's happening because I haven't seen the previous 2 Higurashi streams. Oh, brother. You're in for a roller coaster. I'm guessing we have like 10 minutes tops left on this. That's not a toy children would be playing with, you know. You're right. She seemed to want to use the sun gun on me. Unable to move, I felt her press the cool lump of the metal to my neck. Slam. I heard a roar as if they'd broken down the large first door. The halls were a bit complex, but aside from the door and its very torture chamber, there was nothing in their way. I won't kill you, but I will have you go to sleep for a bit, Kei-chan. Oshi will be here soon. This is only going to hurt a little bit. Feeling the same shock as before. Gritting my teeth wasn't going to help much, but I clenched them anyway. However, just as she did, she was about to hammer the nails and she hesitated a bit. I cracked open my tightly closed eyelids. I'm sorry for disgracing Mion. I made a promise before coming here. Whatever happens, the Mion inside my heart won't change. Look, forget about that. If you ever see me after today, don't come near me. By then, it will be the demon that inherited the corpse. What are you talking about? Just as I tried to say that, a much stronger light than before shined, and like a television being switched off, my consciousness went black. Rika's dead. Oh boy. June 1983 is... Oh shit, I didn't get to read that. Suspect was Mion Sonozaki. She is suspected to have kidnapped 5 of the Himazai residents between June 19th and June 21st. All those people. Imprisoned them and killed them. Preliminary investigations on the incident were delayed over the time due to insufficient evidence, but it was resolved coincidentally and shockingly. On the morning of the 23rd, a vehicle patrolling the Sonozaki property heard screams from inside and rushed in as an emergency measure. They secured the suspect's missing younger sister, Shion, and 2 missing classmates, Kaiichi and Reina. The suspect fled the scene. Deep in the detached basement of the Sonozaki property, which is believed to have been used to kill those who disappeared, we discovered hair, flakes, blood, skin, etc. of 4 missing people. Oreo... Oh, she killed... I knew it! She killed the grandma. Rika and Satoko and Kimiyoshi, the mayor. We can... Ah, shit. At one of the imprisoned classmates' advice, we continued approaching the detached basement of Sonozaki property, which there was imprisoned, believing there were, however, they're still not located the suspect's escape route. Okay. In addition, the investigation are continuing as search. Participating in serial freak incidents in recent years, thinking it could get some clue. But no evidence that Mion Sonozaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found. There are still many unclear points to the motive behind the incident. Those of the Sonozaki family. Residents in Yamaza have been extremely uncooperative in assisting. We expect to require a long time to clarify. Grandma, no! Riko's in the torture chamber? Oh my god, right? The opinion of the local officer acknowledging the region may have been lynching and internal acts carried out against Tinaza's beliefs. It is clear that these incidents are particularly rooted in the region prefectural police department organization. Blah, 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 blah. These are going way too fast. We anticipated gaining valuable clues from the missing persons believed to be in prison the longest time. Shionozaki, the suspect's younger sister, but her mind was stricken by the grave after effects of the incident, has not been able to state of mind to properly answer any questions that she knows. Okay. The psychiatrist concluded that she is in a temporary state of shock, but it doesn't seem hopeful that she will recover today either. Oh. Oh. Only a few days passed since that time. After that, I was rescued by Oshi-san and his subordinates, whom Reina had called in. Aside from the entirely blank state of mind, I had no external injuries. The most I had was a small burn mark from where the stun gun hit me. As I was having a checkup in the hospital, Oshi-san asked me all sorts of things. But I don't really remember what he asked or how I answered him. Is Shion alive then? Yeah. Yeah, Shion's in the hospital. She's in a state of shock, so she's not saying anything. Mion still hadn't been captured. There were apparently a great many hallways and smaller rooms extending out of the depths of that prison. It wouldn't be strange if she had fled into one of those and hidden herself. The one of the fortunate aspects amidst all the misfortune was that Shion had been safely secured by the police. When I last saw Mion, she seemed like she was going to take me in with her and then kill me. Mion did say her fate was sealed, correct? Oh my god, Ryasu, shut up! Wait, so Shion's alive? Okay, I guess I'm marrying Shion then. For fuck's sake. God damn. Seemed like she was going to make me and kill me. She probably didn't have enough time to, though, since Oshi-san came running down faster than she predicted. That was the only really fortunate thing to have happened. Of course, the rescued Shion, despite having no external wounds, now had a big, deep wound in her heart. She was in a severe state of confusion when they rescued her, and apparently she bit the police officers trying to resist. From what he heard, Shion was seeing Mion and everyone she saw, hated not only at the hospital, but in her own home, and shut herself up somewhere in the Shishibone, hiding her location. Additionally, in fear that Mion would come for her, she was moving from place to place every day, and even her parents weren't sure where she actually was. Bro was down bad, for real, for real. Man, a demon is a demon, what can I say? Wherever she was living even now, Shion was spending her days in fear of Mion's shadow. The police were investigating the Sonozaki's underground storehouse at this moment, since they couldn't find the remains of the other sacrifices. Hadn't Mion thrown the corpses in a well? I had a feeling I'd said that to him. That meant that hidden in the tunnel, vertically like a well, was somewhere in those underground passages. The secret underground, without any maps or architectural drawings, which had swallowed up the remains of Rika-chan, Satoko, and everyone else, was still unwilling to speak the truth. I was brought back to the basement again, too, for an on-the-site inspection or something, but I didn't remember it being any help. I never wanted to go back there again. For days afterward, the Sonozakis, living in Okinomiya, in other words, Mion and Shion's parents, the big name Yakuza, would come to our house and apologize, bringing many of their followers with them. However, much my parents refused it, they piled up many hundreds of thousand yen bills, calling it consolation money every day. The amounts of money grew each day, and after it had passed 2 million, they were given an envelope containing a letter. I don't know what was written on the letter. My parents talked about it by themselves for 2 whole nights, and decided to move away. Of course, I mean, depends on the buff. Hey! Fuck that mean?
I see. You're moving, huh? When?
The end of next month. I won't even have been in Hinamizawa for half a year.
I'll be lonely. I'm the only one left.
Holy shit, this timeline is sad as fuck. Oh my god. Well, the Yakuza are the one that gave him 2 million yen and told him to leave, so I think he's good. Buff no needed. Aww. Reina smiled sadly. If I had just said yeah, I thought it would make her even more lonely, so I changed the subject. Here's something to think about. That's how I broached it. Mion hadn't actually fled. She'd been demoned away in the truest sense of the term. Where she went after she disappeared, that we didn't know. What was there? Where she had disappeared to? I hope there was a hobby shop dealing imports of the kind Mion liked. I don't know. I mean, the fact that they, like, kept coming and saying, oh my god, we're so sorry, here's some money. Oh my god, we're so sorry, here's some money. And then getting a letter, and then their parents going like, you know what, we're moving. I don't know. Take Rana with you, I'm not asking, right? In that place, she'd definitely be free from the burdensome fetters of her family. And live not as Mion Sonozaki, but just as Mion and enjoy herself. Maybe she's already met up with Satoko and Rika-chan. They must also have been waiting for the day Reina and I would join them, spending all their time doing club activities, as lively as they always were. When I told Reina that, she smiled and nodded at me. The incidents of the Sonozaki family had been trying so hard to hide, too, were exposed to the magazines from the single tiny scene. The serial incidents of recent years were all pulled up for a long vine of the ground, one by one, and for many days, news of it was brought up on the talk of variety shows. The shows, which were comedic and silly, never once tried to touch upon the grim, heavy history that Mion had been bearing. It made me mad to see them bringing up the stuff just in jest, but there was nothing I could do about it now. How big of an impression would these short few weeks I spent in Hinamizawa have on my life? During these few weeks, I met my best friends, and the best experiences of my life. Man, it's wild to think like 3 Higurashi streams ago, the biggest concern was if Shion and Mion were the same person, right? Holy shit. I would probably never forget it for as long as I lived. As for the distorted image of Mion that the media created. After the masses got tired of treating her like a plaything, they would ball her up, throw her away in the trash, and then she would fade from their memories. As one of the few people who know the real Mion, I must always make sure I remember her. Beyond any doubt that there would surely become offering to her. The sky reached up so far, and towered cumulus-nimbus clouds floated through it. The real summer was just before our eyes. Seems it would be it was not the same person. I think you're on this. Even now, whenever 10 p.m. came around, I would expect a phone call from Shion, or I guess Mion, rather. Now that everything was over, of course, she would never call me. But it was precisely because she wouldn't call me that I was scared of who would call me this time. Plus, Mion still hadn't been caught. I couldn't say for sure that everything was completely over. On the other side of that fear, though, were my prayers that Mion was safe. When I thought that, I was able to sleep even with such terrifying thoughts. The lights were off. Before her attacking the lights off, and something that scared me. However, the feeling changed to regret within 2 days. The moonlight flittering through the gap in the curtain shone into the desk and illuminated a doll. That's right. The doll. The doll I should have given to Mion that day. She said it was the import from England or something, and it was all the rage, didn't she? From what Shion said, the most popular among them were the ones wearing the fluffy dress. After being released from the incident, the first place I went to was that toy store. Everything was apparently sold out besides the things on the toy front displays. Wait, Mion wasn't caught? Nah, she got away. You got a lot of catching up to do? Right. Once we're through this, we'll try and go over and do a recap for you. And also just a recap for everybody. They said they couldn't find anything connecting the events. Correct, yeah. They investigated the cellar a couple times. They found the, like, evidence of Rika, Satoko, Grandma, and the mayor. And, yeah, but they couldn't find any evidence that Mion was tied to anybody else. She's gone. She's on the run, but she's not dead, yeah. They couldn't catch her. Let's see. I refused once when they said they wouldn't sell display products, but when they realized I was Survivor A from the incident, they immediately consented. Of course, even if I bought it, I might never have a chance to give it to her again. Even knowing that, I waited for the opportunity to give it to her. I waited like this, for the opportunity, with it on the desk so I could give it to her at any time. Shion's acting like a stray cat too scared to bunker down in one spot. It's true. Plonk. There was a weird noise. It was a noise I wasn't used to hearing. It was too big to be raindrops, and it was completely different from the sound of lost bugs that make them way their round into the lights. Figured I must have misheard, so I nestled back into my futon. Plonk. The noise happened again. I wasn't hearing things. I definitely heard it. Where was it coming from? I got up and turned on the light. If there was a second, there would be a third. From where, though? I listened carefully. Plonk. The window. Some sort of pebbles were colliding with my window. When I realized they weren't being blown there by the wind, or rather being thrown by a person, I gave a start. I looked at the clock. It was 2 a.m. Who would be at a time like this? I quietly peeked out through the gap in the curtains. In the light of the gate, despite it being so late, I saw someone. They picked up a piece of gravel and threw it at the window. It hit the window and made a plonking noise. Who was it? I caught my breath in surprise. If my eyes weren't deceiving me, that person was... Mion. Slenderman, shut up. I threw open the window and looked at the figure again. My eyes certainly weren't deceiving me. It was Mion. It was Mion. She was alive. Mion pressed her index finger to her lips and made a shh motion so I wouldn't shout. If she hadn't, well, I nearly was about to cry out. Mion was in a very delicate position right now. Even if it was in the middle of the night, I shouldn't call out her name. I waved to her, gesturing that I'd be right over, flung on my coat, atop my pajamas, and flew out the door. I quickly hit the brakes just before going down the stairs. Although happiness was sprouting in me, I had a sad feeling that this would be our final parting. So I went back to the room again and grabbed the doll. If there was a God, I don't think I would ever thanked him so much as today. Even if it would be the last time I ever saw each other, I was so grateful for this one chance to give it to her. I slipped onto my sandals, unlocked the door, and unlocked the chain. I leaped out of the house. Mion! It's been a while. How are you? Been doing okay? It was like how we used to meet every morning. Mion waved at me and resounded like she always did. Give the doll. Teresa's like, we're not doing this again. Give her the damn doll. It was doubtlessly Mion. If there was a real Mion. And then she shoots him. Yeah, Muffin. Are you alright hanging around this place? I really shouldn't be. She certainly wasn't acting like she knew the police were following her. It was almost like she was a patient who had gotten tired of staying in the hospital and snuck out. Her speech was relaxed enough to make me think that, and I couldn't help but be surprised. The relaxation, I thought, was more like Mion than I was happy for. Anyway, what's wrong? What do you need at this hour? I wanted to talk to you one last time. What do you mean, Miku? She only has one pigtail. That's a ponytail. It's not even pigtails. Cameron, get the fuck out of here. I wanted to talk to you one last time. That was when I noticed them. On Mion's forehead were big droplets of sweat. Her expression, too, which I had thought to be a satisfied smile, was, upon closer inspection, trembling slightly, and I realized she was forcing it. Well, I can't stay for any longer. A pained note was beginning to enter her words as well, as if just smiling was a feat for her. Are you alright? You're not feeling well? I tried so hard until now. I can tell. I'm done. This is my limit. They're about to come up behind me and take me away. Mion's smile crumbled and started to stiffen. Did she push herself this much to come all this way for me? Her laughter cut off and changed into rough breathing. I reached out to rub her back, but she knocked me away. Are you okay? Don't force yourself. Oh, that's right. I had something to give you, Mion. This doll. I had wanted to do this one last thing, because I knew how little time you had left. But this last thing, it... My stomach is burning. Mion took a meat cleaver-like knife and stabbed me. Pushed it in tight and took it and twisted it. Mion? Hey, what? It hurts. I made it! I made it! I cowered onto the ground. My stomach was so hot it almost spewing fire. Mion watched it and took a few steps back and cackled. I've done it! I've done it all! That's everyone I wanted to kill! The last words Mion left with me that day came back to me. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body's here, a body is all it will be. What? By then, the demon will have taken over. The demon. The demon. The demon. On. This can't. I thought we had finally been able to meet. This can't. Mion. In a pool of my blood and my own design is the doll I bought for Mion. Dyed in red. So red. Mion. The good fortune of having been allowed to meet Mion once more, and the misfortune of what meeting being torn apart before my eyes. Should I be grateful or curse it? My emotions were neither of those, as my consciousness sunk deep into that black swamp. The doll I bought for Mion, the blood, had ruined it. No matter how I succumbed and scrubbed, no matter how I scrubbed and scrubbed, It had needlessly been ruined. Ruined. The sad moon was so white, it looked frozen. (1983) A violent incident occurred in Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone City Prefecture. The victim was Keiichi Maibara, also a victim of the previous string disappearances. Around 2 a.m., he was stabbed in the stomach with a bladed object, and the suspect, last seen, Mion Sonozaki, was gravely wounded. He was discovered by his parents and woke up and was transported to the clinic. He escaped death. The criminal fled the scene. On the same day, at approximately the same time, a fall incident occurred in the Kimishi apartment complex of Shishibone City Prefecture. The victim was Shion Sonozaki, also victim of the previous string disappearances. Late on the same night, neighbors overheard her having a big fight with someone and informed the manager. The manager used the master key to enter the room and discovered the victim had fallen from her 8th floor balcony to her death. The room had been torn apart and appeared to show traces of a fight. One neighbor, who has frequently visited Sonozaki House for a long time, testified that he had heard sounded like two sisters having a fight, trading insults back and forth. We believe this is related to the injury caused occurring the same day in Hinamizawa Village. Prosecuted said incident suspect and did a thorough search of the room. Could not find any traces that would imply anyone but the victim was present. Oh shit. The victim fell straight down from the foliage of a parking strip. Her neck broke and she died immediately. Her clothing was disheveled and had markings that would imply a scuffle. We also believe, however, that it would have been an instantly introduced suicide attempt, based on the peculiar mental state of the victim after the incident. We are conducting a thorough examination of both fronts, suicide and homicide. Wow, he survived? Oh my god, he's like, bro, Sean! Yeah, now what, Ryusu? Now what? Now they're both gone. Wait, we're still going? What? Only for 5 minutes, understand? What the fuck? Please try to not excite him. Yes, I'll be careful. Click. The door opened, and as expected, Oshi-san came in. Hello, Maibara-san. Oh my god. Sag cope. Been a while, hasn't it? Tell me, how have you been since? The doctor says the post-mortem recovery seems to be going smoothly, but I think I got the worst when I saw your face. You wound me. As Oshi-san gave a laugh and smelled the sweat, he handed Mom a bag of assorted candies he must have purchased from a souvenir corner at the first floor of the hospital. Excuse me, Miss Maibara. Would it be possible for me to talk with just Keiichi for a few minutes? Man, yeah, right? Mom clearly wasn't pleased at the thought of a police officer talking to her son without her there. However, I insisted. Mom, sorry, just a little while. Just 5 minutes, okay? Though grudgingly, Mom left the room. She was closing the door, and Oshi-san grinned widely and looked around the room. A room to yourself? How high class. My old lady always gets a shared room, you know. It is quite lively, however. Seems like you're a higher rank if you have the worst disease in places like that. The sicker you are, the prouder you are. Maybe the more arrogant. Oshi-san, we only have 5 minutes. I would like it if these were the last 5 minutes we ever had to see each other. I don't have any connection to Hinamizawa anymore. This isn't a Hinamizawa anymore either. Yes, because there aren't any general hospitals in Okinomiya. Mind if I take a seat? Down we go. There was a large university hospital in Shishibone City. It was a splendid urban entirely different from the likes of Hinamizawa and Okinomiya. It was hard to believe Hinamizawa was part of the same city. When does it look like you'll get transferred? Dunno. I'm ready to go whenever, though. Our moving plans were delayed a little bit because of my serious injury. My parents had already left the house in Hinamizawa, though, and were living off a new one. They planned to have me transfer hospitals to be closer to the new house once I had recovered enough to be taken there. Please don't come to me when I'm transferring. I really will get worse then. Man, you really do hate me. I may just be my job, but that stinks. That's why I brought all kinds of lovely souvenirs as atonement. You don't need to bring me an assortment of cookies for that. Well, you see, there aren't actually cookies in there. Look. Oshi-san opens up a can of cookies and... Huh? and stretching my scar. I didn't know you were in what you were into, my bar, so I brought you all sorts of things. See all sorts of cute-looking ones, from westerners to comic strips. Lately, there've been all sorts of the H manga aimed at the girls, too. Don't bring porn in here! Take them away! Go home! Ow, ow. I thought for sure a healthy young person like you would feeling a little needy, being cooped up in a place. What the fuck is this epilogue? When the cop investigating your like homicidal friend brings you porn in the hospital. There are plenty of other beautiful things in this world besides nurses, after all. Don't decide what major you're in now. Keep your options open. You need to be a more all-around type person. H manga? Yeah, hentai, bro. I gave Oshi-san's vulgar laughter a pained grin. Somehow or other I understood. The fact that Oshi-san was bringing it up like this meant that he must have had something important to talk about. Man, imagine he brought some nurse stuff. Oh, Jesus Christ. The incident with Shion-san really was unfortunate. The night I was stabbed by Mion. Shion fell from her balcony and died. They said the police were investigating all the possibilities. Accident, suicide, homicide, but it could only have been Mion's doing. Mion found out where Shion was hiding and pushed her down to her death. Nothing else was conceivable. Why no DBZ or Naruto? God. It couldn't have been an accident. It was Mion. It had to be. The criminology guys are saying that it had to be a suicide, but I'm sure the same opinion as you, my Bara-san. She pushed Shion-san and also stabbed you. In one night. Has Mion still not been found? Oh, that's right. That's what I came here to tell you today. Yes, we actually did find her. What? Ow. Learning that felt rather strange to me. I was partly relieved the incident was truly over, and partly sorry that my best friend had finally been caught. I felt many other things, too. My heart was a maze of emotions. That's not all. In the Sonozaki house catacombs, we found a hidden well. And just as you said, my Bara-san, we found the remains of all those who disappeared at the bottom. I see. The slither of hope, the possibility I believed in, that Rika-chan and Satoko were alive, just from the fact the remains hadn't been found. Gone. It was incredibly well hidden in those catacombs. I mean, it was the blind spot of another blind spot. It was a vertical tunnel dug out like a well. There was a ladder set up there, and when we went all the way down, there was another tunnel built going through it. When we followed it a few hundred meters, we found ourselves at the mouth of an old unused well in the mountains. Wonder if it was a escape route for the previous Sonozaki family leader built. Probably was. Maybe it was made by the Meiji era. Still, I'm impressed they built something like that. So everyone's remains were at the bottom? Yes. Even deeper in the escape path there was a pool of coal tar. They had been casually thrown in there. They had fallen from a fairly high spot, so the remains were totally buried in it. It took a lot of time and effort to pull the bodies up. Did you find them all? I hoped that at least they wouldn't find Rika-chan or Satoko. That's why I wished for when I asked, but my swallow of hope was crushed in the blink of an eye. Yes, all of them. In fact, we also found human bones we think are over a decade old. We think there are at least 3 people. I suppose it's the dark side of the Hinamizawa's history. I wonder how many people's bones we'll find once we've sucked out all that mud. It's a scary thought. That weight had been pushing down on Mion's shoulders this whole time. Mion. We're currently identifying people who had disappeared from the Shishibone city decades ago. Just got back, what'd you miss? Shion's dead. Mion stabbed me. They found Mion, and they found where all the bodies have been hidden. So right now we're just, like, getting details on the bodies. Keiichi's in the hospital. Yeah, we got stabbed. People are talking about how this opportunity might let us resolve the disappearing persons cases that have been abandoned. After a deep silence, he breathed a heavy sigh. Oshi-san went to his cigarettes to pass the time, but realized he was in a non-smoking area, so he gave up and put them back in his pocket. Oh, right. This is a bit of a detour, but you know Riko Furude-san, right? Of course. She's my friend. Did she ever tell you anything along the lines of how regularly taking insulin injections for diabetes? Rika-chan had diabetes? I didn't know what you were talking about. Actually, we found her in her shirt pocket. A syringe. It was destroyed, though, so we couldn't identify the medicine. It was a bit out of place, so I got interested. You really don't know anything? I don't know anything about Rika-chan carrying syringes around with her. The Sonozaki family corporates, or the Yakuza people. Anyway, there's rumors that they deal in psychostimulants. After being stabbed, yeah. I was thinking that I might have something to do with that too. Are you trying to tell me that Rika-chan is a drug addict? No, not at all. That's not what I'm saying. It just seems strange however you look at it, that she would bring a syringe with her on her way to the soy sauce. I have no idea what any of this means. My eyes are spinning. I feel sick. Are you alright? Should I call a nurse? I'm fine. Please continue. Well, that's all I had to say about the syringe. It was the only thing that personally struck me as interesting. Rika-chan. Rika-san was sort of like the village mascot after all. It looks like the village is in an uproar right now, between the older blind believers and the Sonozaki family who killed her. The three families' effective control of the village is basically in shambles. If someone came to them with talk of the dam again, that sort of timing, the entire village would be abandoned for sure this time. I'm not related to Hinamizawa anymore. I actually was. I just said it because I thought about Hinamizawa being abandoned was unpleasant, and I wanted to be the end of the conversation quickly. There was a knock at the door. It opened slightly, and my mom asked if we were still talking. Whoops, we went off on topic, didn't we? What a pickle. I looked at the clock. 5 minutes were long past. He told my mother that there was something he really wanted to ask, and she would wait just a little bit longer. Is that so? Keep it short, okay? There wasn't any getting around the fact that she was thinking about the police officer it could be talking to her son about. Maybe we should choose another day for this. Oishi-san. Mion. How is she right now? I just wanted to hear the answer and get rid of him. Before I tell you that, I just need one thing from you. I need you to answer something in complete honesty. What is it? I want you to take your answer seriously, you got it? If you say something indiscreet, it could be viewed as obstruction of investigation and could be prosecuted. Oshi kept threatening me until the end. What the hell did he want? My bar-san. Who do you think the criminal who pushed Shion from the balcony? There's no way it could be anyone but Mion, is there? And who was the one who stabbed you? Please don't make me say it again. It was Mion. Mion Sonozaki. Oshi smiled bitterly, then dabbed at his forehead with a handkerchief to wipe his sweat. He should have expected that answer, and yet it looked as though he wasn't satisfied with it. She pushed Shion and stabbed me. Didn't you just admit that yourself, that Mion was the criminal? The evidence we have that Mion killed Shion is based on the testimony that the man living next door. The neighbor is actually a member of an organized crime group. In other words, he was Shion-san's bodyguard. It seems he's a veteran leader in the vein, and he was a parent to the Sonozaki sisters growing up. That man said this. The noise he heard from next door was just like the sound of a fight between the sisters that he was used to hearing when they lived together. And no, there was no doubt about it. He said he heard Mion and Shion insulting each other and heard them struggling. At first, though, he thought it was a hallucination she was having, brought on by her dementia. You see, he thought it was because that sort of ruckus that had been occurring every night. However, that night had been longer than the rest, and he claimed he went into the room to give it a sedative. The noise died down when he got to the manager and gave him the key. He'd already decided to at least check on her, and after she wasn't answering his calls, he took the plunge and unlocked the door. Then they saw the room was a mess. Since Shion had been pushed over the balcony, they decided to have it been Mion, and that's what had happened. In other words, he only heard it from the other side of the wall. Plus, because the apartment complex is connected to the organization, it doesn't have many residents. So they were the only ones who heard this happening. To reiterate, There was only one person who witnessed Mion Sonozaki. Even if he didn't see her, isn't it obviously Mion's doing? Now settle down. This is what I'm saying. It means you're the only one who saw Mion Sonozaki for sure last night. After all, Shion-san and the other witness is no longer alive. What are you trying to say? I don't really understand. At that point, Oshi-san paused. The fact that this was a non-smoking area completely slipped his mind, and he took out his pack of cigarettes again. He lit one of his lighter, and exhaled a long steam of tobacco smoke. Were you really stabbed by Mion Sonozaki? Yes. There's no doubt about it. The smoke Oshi-san breathed out floated away, like a thundercloud swept away by the wind. Oshi-san, you can't smoke in here. The nurses are going to get mad. Actually, we found Mion Sonozaki at the bottom of the well, too. What? She fell to her death. Believed that she was trying to escape that hidden passage of the well. Her foot slipped while climbing down the ladder. She fell to the bottom, broke her neck, and died. Yeah. Same way as Shion-san. She broke her neck. Well... What? After you passed out that day, Mion Sonozaki tried to escape using that hidden well, but her foot slipped and she died. As if beckoned by the corpses of the other sacrifices, she dropped down there. Oh my god, But... that doesn't make any sense, does it? The autopsy came to the conclusion that she definitely died on that day. She didn't go back after and attacking you or Shion. She had already been dead. My jaw was on the floor. There was absolutely no way that this could be. Mion was the one that stabbed me. It had to have been her. There wouldn't have been anyone else to do it. Then, who attacked Shion and me? Who was it? The one who attacked you was someone who was Mion Sonozaki and yet not Mion Sonozaki. My mind had become a complete mess, and I was starting to lose my ability to think straight. Do you remember how Mio Takano-san died? Huh? Takano-san? Yeah? I think I heard she was burned to death in some distant mountains. We learned that she was burned after being strangled. The Gifu station did the autopsy. It's a little bit strange. The result of the preliminary autopsy said that she had been dead for at least 24 hours. Since that was contradictory in her panic, they seem to have revisited the way she died earlier that day. Despite not being an absolute wreck over what was going on with Mion, he was telling me there was even more on top of that. I didn't understand the complex things Oshi-san was telling me. Is Keiichi being possessed? I don't know, man. Mion's spirit invading Shion's body? That is a leap. That is some mental gymnastics. But man, maybe. The result saying that she had been dead for 24 hours, as our own criminologist says, is pretty damn reliable. So then, what would that mean? I've asked that question over and over. But on the night of Watanagashi, you were with Mio Takano-san, weren't you? I was. You also met her on the day before, while setting up the festival, right? I mean, I ran into her. Yeah? I was with her then. If she'd been dead for 24 hours, then that would mean she was already dead before the festival. That can't be! She was alive during the festival preparations. However, when you all slipped into the ritual storehouse, Takano-san was already dead. The origin of all that happened. The beginning of everything. Our intrusion of the ritual storehouse, which I had come to regret countless times. The one who tempted me, Takano-san. Was she invited us into the storehouse? She was already no longer of this world. Well, I mean, if she was the only one in the room, in the same place as Mion's body, he should also remember that Mion's body was just a demon at that point. It's true. But, like, they're saying when he bust into the cellar, right? And the police were getting Keiichi and Shion out of the cages and the locks. That's when she was running away. She went through that secret passage that they didn't know about yet, slipped, and fell down the well that had the bodies in it. And that's where they found her. There are too many dead people walking around in this incident. My bad, Shion and Keiichi both attacked at the same time, so her body was with Keiichi and spirited, and her spirit attacked Shion. Maybe. That sounds good. Oh wait, she died then? Yes, then! That's what Keiichi's freaking out about. Bro, what? Yeah, and now they're saying that, like, they got the autopsy report for Takano, and according to that, she was dead before she went in that ritual storehouse. According to her autopsy. There are way too many dead people walking around in this incident. An incident this was caused by a dead person and ended by a dead person. Also, apparently, they're under pressure to revise the time Miono saw death, not to the day of the incident, but right after she stabbed you. Probably presumed the outside to get this incident wrapped up already. Came in a stick with her body was possessed. Alright, fair. So I'd appreciate if you didn't say a word about this to anyone. Oshi-san grabbed his jacket that was hanging on the chair and put out his cigarette at the bottom of his foot. Started pretending to wave away the smoke floating around. Well, I've stayed too long. I had come here thinking I could at least end this incident as I applied it to you, but it looks like I got even more baffling instead. Absent-mindedly, he walked towards the door, looking at me, unable to speak out of the corner of his eye. If it so happens that something comes up you want to talk about in the future, call me anytime. I'm not smart enough for this. Oh, wait, it's okay. It's okay. We gotta be getting close to the end, and then I can, like, give you some insider scoop. Or, like, maybe help you feel better. When the time comes, I'll pay you a visit with some wonderful souvenirs again. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Oshi-san seemed to think I was still hiding something. That I, after all this, would be hiding something. I'm the one of those things from far, hidden from. Who wants to know? Then let's meet again one day. Take care of yourself. Slam. I listened to the tap, tap, tap of Oshi-san walking down the hallway. I still couldn't return from the state of bewilderment. He wanted to end this incident as it applied to me? What was over? Nothing was over. The incident was still continuing. Then, slip. An arm covered in fresh blood came out from underneath the bed. I wasn't surprised. This was an illusion I was seeing, seized with fear. Kate-chan, I told you to remember. I heard a guttural voice coming from under the bed. I still recognized it as Mion's voice. What? Mion? What did you tell me? I warned you on that day. After today, if you see me, it will be the demon that has possessed my body. You did. You said that, didn't you? Sorry. Guess I wasn't careful enough. That's why I got stabbed. Possibly wounds sustained when she fell from the ladder. Many of her fingernails were broken and torn. Her arm slowly felt about the top of the bed, searching for mine. Oh, hey, Mion. I just, well, thought of a good joke. Want to hear it? Mion under the bed didn't answer. Let's say that I died here today, but tomorrow I'd still be here living a normal life. So, when Oshi-san learned about afterwards, the time of death wouldn't make sense. Once again, he'd make a huge deal about how someone who should have died was alive, and he'd totally lose his head. Takano-san, then Mion, and then me third. So, funny, right? Makes you laugh, doesn't it? Kei-chan. Laugh. Or was it not that funny? Mion's blood-stained hand groped around and found my wrist. Through her fingernails were torn, she gripped it hard, scratching me. Ow. Go easy. It hurts. Kei-chan, I've come for you. I tried to shake my wrist loose, but the strength she held in it was unbelievable, and I couldn't. She was only gripping one wrist, and yet my whole body won't move. I couldn't even twitch. My fingers were spread apart, and I couldn't make a fist either. And that fact that I couldn't make a fist reminded me of the restraining table. I felt a crooked nail press against my left pinky fingertip. Mion's forehead was split open, and with a face covered with blood, she smiled, got upright in front of my nose. Nothing was over. Nothing was over. The incident was far from being over. It was still going on. It was still happening. Someone please end this incident. This cruel, tragic, unfortunate, sad incident. Please end it. That is my only wish. I granted you one before, remember? You don't get any more. Mion firmly hid the nail down on my fingertip, and with her on the other hand, she slowly swung a mallet up into the air and... Bro, what an ending. Bro. Yo, the achievement. The last nail. Congrats, you completed the book of Watanagashi. Woo! Woo! What an ending. For real, for real. Are we sure Keiichi isn't possessed? I guess not. An amazing ending. Yeah, did you like that one? They didn't do this in the anime, but like, I really liked, there was a parallel here with the first book, where like one of the like last line Keiichi says in the first book is the same as this one, or at least pretty close. In both books, he has said, "That is my only wish, to figure out why this happened," or whatever. That's such a good parallel. Okay, also, if you're confused, good. Sorry, that sounds so mean, but like, good. Because I don't think I really talked about it at all in like the first book, but like, so Higurashi, right? We picked up on the fact that every book that we start now is gonna kind of start over, right? So when we start book 3, it's gonna be 2 days before Watanagashi, right? Just like how this one started 2 days before Watanagashi. And so I forget exactly how many there are. Forgive me, I'm not fake fan. I know, but each time. So the first arc was. Onikakushi, right? But it was onikakushi-hen. So that means it's the question arc for onikakushi. Eventually, we're going to get onikakushi, whatever the fuck it's called, which is onikakushi the answer arc, where it's going to explain to us what the fuck's going on. Starts 2 days, kind of, like a week or two. It's kind of loose. Anyway, it's a few days before the festival. Every time we start a new arc, it's a few days before the festival. Eventually, we are going to start getting to the books. Because each one of these question arcs, right? It plays these scenarios from Keiichi's point of view. And Keiichi is one dense, dumb motherfucker. We know this. We're not hurting his feelings. He knows it. When we play through these arcs again, it's gonna be from someone else's perspective, and we're gonna fucking learn why this shit happened the way it did. Once we have those, then we're gonna get to the part where we solve it, and that's gonna feel so satisfying. But yeah, wow. I didn't expect it to be quite this long, though. But yes, if you feel confused, that's why. Literally, like, there's so many books that are just set up to help us learn about what the fuck's going on. So, I'm excited. Oh, and also, congrats, guys. Congrats. I know, Bluma knows it. He knows it's true. I was gonna say, right, congrats, guys. According to a lot of people online, this is the weakest of the Higurashi books. So we made it through it. Pachi, pachi, pachi. Good job, guys. You made it through the quote-unquote most boring arc in the story. Not my opinion. I rather like Mion and Shion's sister arc here, but like, a lot of people say this is the weakest entry. So, you know, congrats for getting through it. Good job, good job, good job. Good job, good job. And also, the next arc, I forget what it's called. Hold on, let me go look at it real quick. Because I did already buy it. It was on sale, so I was like, holy shit, what luck, right? Oh, what is the next one called? The next book is called Goroshi. Tatari, right? Tatari Goroshi. It is my favorite arc, I think, in Higurashi. So I'm excited to start the next one. It's my favorite arc. I'm very excited for it. The ending was pretty wild. Weakest, yeah, right? See? I think it was pretty good. I felt like it took a really long time to get there. Right. And that's the biggest complaint I see anyone who's anyone in the Higurashi fandom who, you know, whatever, reads the books. That is their biggest critique, is that it's like, it takes way too long to get there and the payoff is not worth it. Their words, not mine. Because, I mean, like, this one, it does set up some really weird thoughts to have in the back of your mind. Like the fact that Takano was dead before she told us about the shrine. The fact that Mion was dead for weeks and then we saw her stab us. A little weird. Also the bloody Mion appearing underneath his bed. I won't say much about it, but it is another thing people point out as saying, like, it's a negative point, I should say, I guess. Preparing the copium. Yeah, the next one, I don't remember him coping a lot in the next one. What I do remember is him being... What is it? It's like, this one had a lot of copium of him being like, that's not Mion, right? That's Shion. The next one, it's more him being, holy fuck, that's fucked. I'm so sorry. It's a lot more of that vibe. Him seeing Mion feels like him feeling that curse she put on him, granting his wish to survive. Yeah, exactly. It's... Me personally, thinking... I don't think that was like... I think he was hallucinating. I think that was him being scared. Because one, his mom would have come back in the room. I think that was him hallucinating. There. What was I gonna say? Oh, okay. Yeah, the other fun fact. So the guy who wrote all these Higurashi books, before he became the writer for these and, you know, made his living doing this instead, his job was a social worker. And he said that this next one is where he put a lot of those experiences into there, where he would have to, you know, help kids out of some really shit situations. So, yeah. Hallucinating after ODing on that copium. Yeah, basically. So, yeah. I'm very, like... I don't hate this arc, but I am glad we're through it. Bro. Yeah. I am super glad to be getting to, like, my favorite arc in the next one. Because it focuses on... I would consider because, like, okay, the first book, it was focusing on Reina, right? This one was focused on Mion, right? I mean, you can take a guess who the next one's gonna be about. And I would say they're, like, one of my top two characters. There's two characters that I go back and forth with between who are my favorites. Yeah, the story feels like the next one is gonna get way too real. Yeah, it does. Takano-san, boy, you fucking wish Takano-san got a book. We got her book. It was in the tips. It was her scrapbook. That was her book. Deal with it. Takano-san fans can suck my dick. But yes, thank you guys so much for coming to the finale of Watanagashi. Dang. Alright. We're gonna be streaming tomorrow too. What did I say we're streaming? Hold on, let me go check. I'm stupid. Ah, movie night. We're doing movie night tomorrow. Oshi-san. Boy, you fucking wish Oshi-san got a book. Oh man, one about Oshi-san would be sick. That would be so boring. Are you being for real? 90% of the book is just him, like, having a cigarette and talking to other cops about how he's gonna retire next year and he's gonna solve this one last case, and then he doesn't, because the timeline resets. Alright, but yes, Thank you guys for coming to the finale of Higurashi Watanagashi. I won't put out there as concrete when we're going to start the next one. Honestly, with how hyped the brain rot is being for Higurashi, we might just get right into the next Higurashi book. I also still have to debate with myself if I want to get the mod that adds in their voice acting and the PS3 sprites. Because, I don't know, personally, I really like the sprites they used in this, the remake, these sprites that we have been using. But them having voice acting would be really nice, so you can see... Because, again, the next one's for, like, one of my favorite characters, and, like, I like her voice, and anyway. Imagine him slowly going insane from you. Imagine it. Anyway, guys. These sprites are pretty good, right? By the way, Hollow Justice is coming up. Ooh, fuck yeah, baby. Hell yeah. Yeah, damn. I almost, like, said that we were going to play Hollow Cure one day this week, too, because it's been so long. Imagine. Listen. There's so much, like, because, like... I have been a huge, I think I've talked about it before. I'm a huge fan of the anime. I've watched, like, every season at least 2 or 3 times. There's so much stuff that I, like, when you guys are like, what if this is the thing? I just want to be like, oh my god, I just want to tell them. But, like, no, I'm glad we're reading the books, because these are giving me new insights that the anime could never. They announced a new Legend of Zelda title where you play as Zelda. Ooh. So, like, Super Smash Bros.? Anyway, alright. We are going to wrap it up here for tonight. I hope you lamb chops have a good evening and good night. I hope I'll see you tomorrow for our movie night. That's at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. 7 p.m. I'm just doing a little bit different of a time because it's a Wednesday. Hey, yo. If I don't see you for movie night, I hope I see you when I see you. Okay, lamb chops? Thank you again. I always appreciate you guys. I feel the exact same way when we're talking friends reading my favorite. Right? Ugh. Alright. Bye-bye. You guys have good nights, okay? Alright. See you when I see you. Where the fuck is my ending screen? Is it gone? Nope, there it is. Okay, bye.